and I'm gonna be like, man, listen, bro. Did you at least get your dick sucked?
Oh, we're live, dude.
Oh, my bad.
Disregard that comment.
Yeah,
we have no idea what.
Yeah.
Let's see if that made it. Let's give no context because at that point I don't think there's any context if it did come through.
I know it makes it better.
But
Jesus.
Yeah, we're live.
So in video game related news, I went ahead and already did my IMAX pre-order for the Mario movie, so I'll be watching that on Wednesday.
I don't buy tickets in advance. I never have in my life.
I rarely do IMAX.
Oh wait, I did for Star Wars.
This is like the second time I've ever done IMAX. The first time was in-game. I did it for Avengers Endgame.
I want to reserve my seats, man. I don't want to sit all the way at the front or all the way at the
left.
That
is true, bro. Exactly.
That's because I usually just go Saturday in the. But now I'm thinking I want to go Wednesday.
I work fucking Saturdays and shit.
I think I'm on.
I gotta look exactly for the one screening that's in English.
I might go. I should have went after work today. I'm gonna go tomorrow and get.
Listen. I'm going the day of because I don't trust the internet.
Advisor said it made it through.
That's why I wanted to go.
Your comment made it.
All the screenings were French.
Well, GG's, bro. If it's just the comment, not the context, we're Gucci.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna try to remember tomorrow to stop, and I'm going Wednesday night. I haven't been to an opening release of a movie since Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Really?
Visor in the chat, it made it through.
Damn.
Hey man, at least not. Be honest,
I haven't been to the theater since the Batman either.
God dang.
I don't remember when. This will be my first in theater movie in a while, like over a year. I want to say.
I've been twice in like 5 years, I think. Like I barely go.
Losers.
But I ain't missing this shit on the big screen. No way.
I just don't want to not be able to talk about it. That's the only.
That's my thing. That's my concern. I don't trust motherfuckers. But we do need to lock down who's going like soon versus later, so we know.
I wish we would have. I wish we could have got together and said, "Hey, we should all get together and I'll go see it at the same together." That would have been epic. Robert's excitement alone would have been worth going.
Oh, Robert would have had a fit.
I could see him. I could see him just like we're getting there, and he's just, you know how he starts talking real fast. That would have been awesome. Filmed it, but
Jesus.
I mean, buddy at work, he must not watched any trailers. He's like, I don't care. But he was over yesterday, and we watched a couple movies. I was like, here, let me show you these Mario movie trailers. He's like, oh, looks like they really captured all the elements from the game really well. It looks pretty good. I'm like, no shit, dude.
My friend hit me up about the same thing. He's like, bro, you going to see a Mario movie this week? I said, yeah. When you going, man? Because I think I might go.
I'm saying...
I'm like,
this is going to do $1 billion.
It's doing $1 billion. First video game adaptation to even do over 500.
Oh, is no other adaptation done over 500?
That's what I've seen.
Yeah, what else?
I think the highest is like 300,000 or 400,000. Sonic.
Pokemon?
Pokemon and
Sonic's higher than Pokemon?
2 are like the 2 highest, I believe.
Okay.
Detective Pikachu.
Detective Pikachu.
I'm fine with both of those. All right, GG's.
I was telling my brother, like, dude, there's gonna be like a Mario movie, like we're gonna go. He's like, I don't give a shit. I'm like, you fucking asshole. And then laterwards, I showed him the trailer, and he's like, oh, it looks kind of interesting. It's like, too late. I ain't fucking take you, man. You're not worth it. So I went with my dad.
Yeah.
My dad was all excited and shit. So fuck that.
Exactly. You know, if you don't take my offer the first time, you don't get it the second time, bitch. That's not how it works.
You fucked it up.
I've been watching a lot of the interviews, and you know, it's what I said. You know,
what?
Who's this guy?
Who the fuck is this?
I don't recognize.
Is have friends no more.
Is that level-headed gamer? Oh wait, that's Robert.
Wow.
Yo, how dare you?
Is that is that coupon?
Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
That's a long throwback.
Yeah, that is a deep cut for real.
I don't remember the last time we had 5 people.
Oh, I forgot to breathe. Oh my god.
Oh, he left. Oh, he's back.
Is it coupon stripes? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the good old days.
Shout outs,
Watch
Coupon.
it.
It's been so long, he probably hasn't updated his Discord in forever.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
I can't play with y'all. Y'all fucked me up on that one. I wasn't ready for no coupon reference. Bro, what the fuck? Oh, I almost forgot to breathe.
Man, I got
Damn.
this sleepy ass shirt on. Sleepy in the neck like I'm. I'm looking at the neck and it's like, damn, they kind of sleepy cut.
It's a little cold in my house lately.
Day.
It's been warm outside, so the heat hasn't been on much on the inside. So my basement's pretty cold.
Yeah,
Drafty,
but
man.
I'm having that problem.
So I was saying, you know, when they did the directs for the couple trailers and the actors read some pre-scripted stuff like, "Oh, I've been playing Mario." I listened to them talk freeform.
So bad.
These motherfuckers don't know shit.
Nothing.
A couple of them made a few comments. Oh, okay, maybe they knew, but they don't know shit. Like,
Yeah, I'm
And that's fine.
It's
I don't
fine.
need you to don't pretend though.
But
That's
when
the
they
shit
did
that-
the little
yeah.
direct
Well, they
thing,
have
I know
to.
some people, oh, it's legit, their game. I'm like, no, they're just reading shit.
No,
I
no.
It's like, look,
Jack-
you're not Henry Cavill.
I
bro.
thought
Like,
Jack
come
Black
on.
would. No, he was probably one of the worst ones for not knowing stuff.
He is a gamer though.
He did some gaming on YouTube early on. He said he hasn't played anything in a couple years.
Yeah.
He hasn't done shit. in a
But
while.
I mean, I still like Jack Black. I'm just saying that promo where they're trying to make it sound like they've been, oh, this has been my dream. I'm like, no, they're just reading
that's-
shit, dude.
Stop. Just stop that shit.
Stop.
We see right through that.
At least
bullshit.
Anya Taylor-Joy didn't try to say anything like that.
All right, third time. Let's see, Robert. Can you get
Super
your shit
Princess
together?
Peach is probably her favorite game.
There he
man.
is.
Yeah, it's her favorite.
Who
It's
the fuck
everybody's
is
favorite
that,
game.
bro?
Let's go, boys. Mario movie.
No, yeah. Where's Robert?
What is that?
Where's Robert? That's what we need.
Oh,
Hotel
Hotel Mario.
Why do you have that?
Exactly.
Do you even have the console? to play
You might as well
on?
send it out, get it
No.
graded.
That's
Nobody-
history. That's
Nobody
history.
has the console to
It's
play
the
that
history
shit
no
on.
one acknowledges. Nintendo don't even acknowledge that.
It's history, man. It's history.
You put that next to Deathloop.
Deathloop. What,
You might as well have
what is
the
going on?
Virtual
Where's
Boy Mario.
Hotel Mario's in a constant Deathloop because it's dead. But
That's the game I've been playing, which is really good.
One of those
Well,
is
that's
actually a
fine.
good game, and one of those is a Mario game. What the fuck is going on?
I caught you guys talking about the Mario movie, and I ain't gonna lie, man, the hype is getting to me.
Like I said, if we
Well,
would got
it's real.
together, it would have been worth it just for your excitement.
Oh, that would have been
going to the
that would- we
theater,
should-
like
why
all of
didn't we
us
plan
together.
that shit?
well, he did. Juice wanted to do so.
I was
Juice
available. I know that.
Oh,
my money
fuck.
wasn't right.
I completely must have missed that conversation. I don't remember that shit at all.
No, he mentioned it. I remember just mentioning it. My money wasn't right. I already knew that.
Yeah, I'm seeing it Wednesday night.
You watching IMAX, man? Or you gonna watch?
Yeah,
it?
baby.
I'd go
IMAX.
Dolby Cinema if I had one near.
Oh, okay.
That's the true experience.
But I just
Yeah, but not everybody has it, man. We can't-
Robert has
Yeah,
like
I don't
five.
even know
of
what
them.
the fuck IMAX
Well,
is.
that's
It doesn't have
Robert.
a
'Cause
screen.
Robert lives
I
in
don't know.
Jersey.
Yeah,
Well, there's
Rob-
two
Robert's
types
in
of
the-
IMAX. There's the real IMAX, which is like 5 of them in the world, and then there's the fake IMAX where they use 2 like 4K digital projectors. Still a big screen, but
Yeah.
Don't ruin this, bro.
I mean, this IMAX that I go to
I've already
is-
pre-ordered
is
the ticket,
genuinely-
damn
is
it.
Genuinely, like, it's the one I always go to, which I've been to a bunch of IMAXs. It's definitely my favorite one that I've been to in New Jersey, specifically. The one in New York, the Lincoln Square
And,
one,
like-
is nuts. It's super, like,
there's
massive
probably
stuff, but
there's got to be one in New York that's a legit IMAX. I know LA,
it's
London
probably
has
the Lincoln
one
Square one. That's probably what it is.
where they actually have the cameras in the film, where the roll of film is like 6 feet in diameter, and they usually
I
play
went to
Christopher
one-
Nolan movies.
Yeah, I went to one in LA. I saw that's how I saw a Space Odyssey like that, and they had it on film, like actual
you-
film.
Did you see D&D?
No, not yet. I
didn't even know that
heard
was
it's-
coming
I heard
out,
it's,
man.
I heard it's surprisingly like really good.
It's really good. I feel so bad for it though. It's in a bad spot.
I want to watch. Well, I know I want to maybe squeeze it in tomorrow, but
I'm gonna
I
watch it,
won't.
but
I would like because it's an IMAX tomorrow. Then it's probably leaving IMAX. So I wanted to squeeze it in tomorrow, but it's not gonna happen. If I'm
But
being
have
honest
you
with
seen
myself.
the Wayland's D&D?
the what?
More news coming
It
soon.
wasn't
If we
one of
wanna
the
keep-
Whalen brothers in the other one?
Oh God,
Oh,
Wayne.
that one.
You said
That
Wayne.
one.
That Marlon
You're talking
Wayans
about Marlon.
one.
Yeah, Marlon was in that
Oh,
one.
What an
Oh
embarrassment.
god,
There's only 2
I
movies.
enjoyed that one.
that man was constantly screaming. It's like one of the worst things. It
Ah,
was like one of the worst
ah,
things, dog.
I don't know,
oh,
man.
So
I
bad.
don't know
It
if you
was-
guys for me with this damn Mario movie, man. I haven't watched the last trailer. I actually still have not watched the last
Me
trailer. I don't
neither.
want to watch it.
Me neither.
It's
And-
probably
and-
better for you anyway.
I've seen it. It's good.
And what's still looping in my mind this whole day has been the da na na. You know how they you know that how they have the piano, but like an epic piano version of the original theme.
They do
Yeah,
that
it's
all
like-
the time.
The
It's
epic
like
movie
it's
trailer
like,
version. That's what I call
it's
it.
just
The movie
it's
trailer
like
version.
I'm feeling it, and I just been I'm excited for it. I'm excited. I think I honestly think I might be overhyping myself with this movie because I gotta think but it's
I'm
like
surprised it's only
It's going to be good.
on the
Yeah.
side. It says it's only
it's
an
gonna
hour
be
and 30
good,
minutes.
but I
I'm a
know
little
it's gonna be like,
surprised.
oh my god, this thing is fucking amazing. But I'm
Yeah,
sure it's
I
gonna be
think
good.
I think that was on purpose. I think
Really?
Yeah, 'cause I think they expect people to do multiple viewings, and that's the
what?
way you do it. Make that bitch 90 minutes and make it easier
Yeah, I
for
thought it
people to
would
go
be-
back
yeah.
and watch it
Well,
again.
I mean, admittedly, most like American animated movies are always a 90
Yeah, they're
minutes
not
long.
they're not 2-hour movies usually.
90 minutes used to be the standard for movies, period.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that is true. And then you
But
know,
like
everything's been 2
specific.
hours.
And then Peter Jackson came along with that bullshit.
Oh, this is the
This is what the actual IMAX like 70mm projector is. What's
side note
involved.
shit.
in the chat. I'm
That's
gonna
nuts.
I'm gonna say this right now. This week and next week are the only 2 times it's okay for it to be the movie podcast. I don't have no problems with it. That's it. The rest of the time it's gonna be some fuck shit. But these
Well,
2
we're gonna
times is perfectly
Where's
We're
fine.
gonna be
this
talking
at?
about a specific movie.
It's
So
it's
This is in
pre
London.
movie. It's pre movie hype and then post movie hype. This is gonna be.
That's a big ass screen.
And
Yeah,
it's
man,
actually like
it's really
Well,
intimate.
the one in New York is the biggest in the country, and it's nuts. I've seen
I don't know if this is
Ready
big, but
Player
this is
One on
like
it. I saw Avengers on
one of
there.
the few ones that uses
What
the
the fuck is
actual film
Omnimax?
projector. That's the actual film stock too. That those were, but this one uses. So if a movie's Christopher Nolan's pretty much one of the only ones who shoots movies with the IMAX cameras, which in film.
Yeah.
Most like
Yeah.
all the Marvel movies, all that's just they shoot it in digital, high res digital cameras, and they project it with digital project. They use
That's
2
because
4K
Christopher-
projectors.
Christopher Nolan is an auteur. That's why.
I will say though,
Oh shit!
last night I watched Tenet on the 4K disc, with my
You know, I
4.
still haven't seen that movie.
I hadn't seen it either, and with an actual 4K native projector. Because he shoots in IMAX, the thing about IMAX is I think it equates to like over 8K resolution. If it was a digital camera, it would be like it's more than 8. It's just like it captures such detail that it makes for the best like transfer to 4K discs. And I thought I had seen some good imagery the past week watching different movies. I put in Tenet and it was like I
Mind-blowing.
feel like it was double, like as clear as anything else I'd seen. It's just unbelievable. And the other
I haven't
like
even seen Interstellar yet.
you haven't, dude. That's a good movie.
I know
But
it is.
the thing
And I feel
is,
ashamed as a Christopher Nolan fan.
it doesn't have horrible audio. It has amazing audio actually. It just depends on your equipment, I guess, or what you're listening.
Well, I remember
Hold on.
people complaining about the mixing of Tenet.
Maybe they fixed it for the 4K, but I had no
I
issues.
actually do remember that in theaters. hearing
There's a
that
few
too,
people
where,
with accents. I was like, I might have missed that word, but
where it just kind of, I feel like they kind of, and I do remember like it was like a widespread
Why
like.
does
we're
he always
talking
have
about.
audio issues?
The mixing was weird.
With,
I thought it
banging and
sounded
shit.
fine. I was actually,
Batman.
But they might have done something for the Blu-ray for sure. I mean, to be fair, they had more time, right, to put it.
and the thing that people don't understand that even people with home audio or home theater setups, the thing that
Sick of your
kills
shit, T.
the thing that kills audio or dialogue is if you have a lot of echo in your room, because the audio will leave the speaker and go to your ear, and just a a split second after that hits your ear, the audio bouncing off your walls and your ceiling will hit your ear, so you're getting like massive echo. Subconsciously, it's not like it doesn't just stand out to you as something so obvious. So maybe that. But either way, I couldn't believe the quality of the image. Alone justifies 4K Blu-rays. Now, not everything looks great. Like Ready Player One, it's mostly digital animated movie. Looked good, but this looks so much better. And even like an old movie like Rush Hour from like, what is that, 90? When was Rush Hour?
98, boy.
99? Even that, because that was shot on film, 35 millimeter film. Just the Blu-ray version looks better than like Godzilla versus Kong 4K, digital, because of all the visual effects. Everything just looks fake. The higher resolution.
How about an animated movie, like a purely like CGI?
They look great, but like if it's a all digital movie with CG everywhere, the higher clarity, like higher resolution, better projected image, better TV makes the fake elements stand out more fake. Versus like a movie that was just shot with almost no visual or not visual effects, because visual effects, like no CGI and stuff. Like Rush Hour looked really good. Like skin tones of Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan looked like perfect. Jackie Tan. Like just things shot on film. Anyway, getting off topic, but this is a little lesson there. The movie collector guy was just playing that footage of. He does a really good job of
Is that the old guy?
Mm-hmm.
Old rich dude?
Explaining like why movies might look bad when they put them on DVD or Blu-ray or 4K because they were shot with low quality film, or they use some kind of process that makes the image look bad, and why old movies like Jaws and Blade Runner are some of the best looking 4K movies because they were shot with really good 35 millimeter film or 70 millimeter and stuff. So very interesting stuff. Anyway, Mario movie looks great. I think we'll all have seen it by the next podcast. So we're going to talk about it. So if you haven't seen the movie next week,
that's how you know we're
get out.
Fans. It's getting Juice in the theater. It's getting all of us in the theater. It's getting Retro in the theater.
There's no spoiler
all
bullshit.
That first weekend.
If you haven't seen it, then you don't care enough to care about spoilers. If you hadn't seen it by next Monday,
dude,
period.
You're giving them less than.
We'll give a spoiler warning.
We're not gonna. Well, it comes out Wednesday night.
Yeah, it's not even a week, bro. You be like, hey man, you didn't see that first weekend? You ain't shit. Don't even come.
It'd be like me saying, "Oh, spoilers for the Sonic movie."
Watch the stream.
Spoilers for the Sonic movie. Like a week later.
Wednesday at 3 p.m. Man.
The reviewers give you less time than that, so
that's true.
Yeah.
I've heard some really good things about Chris Pratt's voice and stuff, and he even said, he's like, go see the movie first and then tell me what you think.
He's not gonna say, you know what, you're right. Don't
you're right. I'm terrible.
I know, but I think I believe that was one of the more genuine things I feel he said. And
he's been saying some genuine things. I feel if you hear like the interviews, like
I like the premise that he's just always lying and shit.
No, it's just like actors talking promotion talk. Promotion talk.
Listen, I love Mario. Nah, I get the fuck out of here, bro. You don't love
he was talking about Waluigi should be one of the dudes.
Next villain.
I was surprised he even knows who Waluigi is.
He probably looked some stuff up.
I don't want to see no Waluigi. Get that shit out of here.
Wait, TT. What about Wario?
Cheap ass. Wario, they wanted Wario. No, because it was Charlie Day and Chris Pratt in an interview, and then Charlie Day's like, oh, they should have Wario as Danny DeVito, and then
that's actually hilarious.
And then Chris Pratt was like, oh, that'd be good, and then he said, what's his name? Let me see if I'm saying it right. Chris Offerman? Am I saying it right?
Who?
Chris Offerman? No, that's not his name.
Who?
Hold on.
That sounds right.
They said somebody for Waluigi.
No, something Offerman. Nick Offerman. No, Nick Offerman. He said that should be Waluigi. That's what the. And I'm like, hey man.
Man, I don't want to see no cheap ass Waluigi and nothing.
Cheap ass, damn.
I want to see some
cheap ass knockoff ass. At least Wario is creative. He's a creative character, and he has like games that people care about. Waluigi is just
Waluigi.
Yeah. There's no
He's just always
Waluigi
been
land.
so lame.
No, I would just say that because I
And
like
never
how
will
Chris
be.
Pratt brought him up. I'm glad that Chris Pratt brought him up.
I
Like he
mean,
wasn't like just saying.
He probably
"Oh,
did some
well,
research
who's
for
Wario?"
voicing
You know?
Mario. He probably
To be
Right.
fair,
The thing, though,
Waluigi's
that-
a
Right.
character people
here's the thing
would-
that quote unquote
do something.
bugs me about all the interviews. Not one person mentioned meeting Miyamoto or anything talking to Miyamoto. It was
They don't
always
care.
Illumination, and they got a lot of talented people. And it's like you think somebody would have said
The creator of the fucking game. How about
Miyamoto-san
him?
or something, because
Yeah, yeah.
I know some of these interviews happened
Creator of
a
the
while
character.
ago.
No,
But
but I have heard interview. This was not in the recent, but this was a little like maybe a month or two ago. I remember hearing like Chris Pratt talk about say Miyamoto-san, like he talks about Miyamoto, like I'd have to. But you know, they to be fair, like especially now, you know, they have those those junkets that they be doing a million interviews. So
know.
like you know, it's like you could barely keep up with like a single one.
Yeah,
So
you're
I'm
just
sure
making
if you
the
just
rounds
have
at
Chris
this
Pratt,
point.
Miyamoto, you know.
People got to understand that. Like, they're doing back-to-back quick
they
little
just do them,
interviews.
yeah, it's fast.
Somebody pulls
all in
up
one
in another
day.
camera and they start. It's
Mhm.
all in one
That's
time.
why
so you gotta
some-
understand that.
Some people try to change it up and ask
Yeah.
crazy questions just to give them something different to talk about, other
Yeah,
than
Right.
well, would you have fun playing Mario? Was it fun?
Yeah.
Like,
Damn, you savage.
Imagine like John Wick. What's his name just died?
Lance Riddick.
It's ridiculous.
Lance. Yeah. Like how many people, different reporters asked him
Yeah,
about
asked him.
Lance Riddick,
Mhm.
and they had
Yeah.
to keep. And this is a guy they know is a friend of theirs.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
sure that shit was also hurtful. So they had
Yeah.
to keep. They had to keep that same energy for every
Yeah.
fucking interview.
Shame
Like,
on
that's
those
crazy.
people for asking, knowing they're
Well,
asking
no.
the same tough question.
Well,
same,
no, but I mean,
They
that's-
have to. I mean, they have
yeah,
to get
for
an
their
answer
own-
for their outlet. That's
I
the
know,
Yeah,
but-
exactly.
of them to do
That's
that.
not really. That's not on them being a dick.
if
about
I
it.
was,
That's-
I don't think I would have.
If you want to know what our reaction or what is refer to another company,
you're
Just
not
don't
gonna mention the
ask. Just
competition.
don't bring it up.
well, you
But
have
no-
to. You
Yeah,
can't.
you
not,
do have to.
I mean, come
'Cause
on.
someone's
You-
gonna
you
ask
have
on
to.
their like, why didn't you ask that question? Like,
Go ask E News. They asked that question.
Go ask.
E-News.
But,
yes,
E-News.
send
You ain't gonna
the
tell
traffic
E-News, my
to
boy.
somebody
Damn.
else.
Couldn't be me.
So, I started Resident Evil 4 last week. I played an hour. I haven't played it since. I've just been too busy. And
What?
it, on one hand, they captured the. I got to through the town. I made it to the church bells, and on one hand, it's chaotic and intense as the old, but it just doesn't. It just doesn't feel the same. Like I feel like, I don't know. I wish after playing 3, it's really missing like the little sidestep. I really miss that little. You have the knife parry, but I died. I'm playing on normal. I probably failed it like 5-6 times, and I finally
Really?
got lucky and just kept running around. But it just felt a little off control wise compared to what I was used to. And then I said this in the chat. That town, that outdoor area, that's one of the. I mean, I'm not trying to be retro death exaggeration guy here. It's one of the worst looking PS5 games I've played so far in that outdoor area. It has some of the
Jesus,
muddiest
man.
textures. Like,
They still haven't fixed the resolution on PS5 version.
I don't know, but I've seen some shots from the indoor areas which look great, and it's just like Village. Village in the castle was some of the best looking game, one of the best looking games I've seen on PS5. The outdoor area was also muddy and just not a very pleasing looking. I don't know if it's the texture quality or it's the color palette. It's just
Maybe it's the RE engine.
it's
getting
just
a little
very
long in it too.
unpleasing to the eye, and I was just like, man, this looks like a PS4
Well, the
game.
RE
legit.
engine's like how old? Like,
But the RE engine was really ahead of its time on the PS4 and Xbox. It was pushing 60 FPS with great visuals.
I'm just saying maybe what the advanced lighting or whatever they're trying to do with it now, maybe it just can't handle that stuff as well.
I don't know
That
what
could
they're trying,
be.
because it doesn't run. It's not like it's running at 4K. It's like 1800, 1400, whatever it's running. It's not. I don't know. It's just weird. It's almost like the engine was like so well designed for the 8th gen.
Because I had heard other people saying,
I just expected more, honestly, because the PS4 version was a late edition, or at least they announced it late. It was supposed to be
But
next gen only.
it's still highly rated though, right? It's like
Oh yeah,
94 or
it's. I mean, I have no doubts the game is really good, but I just was like, man, this is less impressive. Obviously, it's a cross-gen, but like when the GameCube game came out, it blew us away.
PS4?
They announced that like not that long before. I mean,
Oh shit! I didn't realize that.
Few months, I want to say. It was probably like late last year they announced it, but it's like on the GameCube, the Resident Evil 4 pushed the GameCube. Like, holy crap, how is this running on the GameCube? And it definitely isn't even close to that. I mean,
yeah, and then you go play the PS2 version, you're like, oh shit, the GameCube version is really kicking some ass over there.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that was 60 FPS on the. I'm pretty sure. I know it wasn't on the GameCube,
PS2?
but
on PS2.
I didn't try. No, on the GameCube.
I think it is.
No, it's 30 because the Switch version.
Honestly, I don't remember. I remember playing.
I remember the Switch version was having trouble hitting 60 without overclocking, and
it was damn smooth though. I don't remember.
it was. I mean, it was. Yeah, it was probably locked.
It was smooth for 30.
But I didn't try the 30 FPS mode, the resolution mode on the PS5, and I don't really feel like it felt like 60. But so I still, like I said, I'm an hour in, if that. Just been watching a lot of movies and been doing other things. So, but yeah, it's I was expecting to like turn it on and be like, oh man, I'm playing it till late in the night. And like after I was like, as soon as I got through that first section, I was like, where's the next safe spot? I'm gonna take a break, and then I haven't been back on.
Man, Brian O'Tano's already played through it 4 times. What are you doing?
Good for him. And honestly, I haven't played through the game since the GameCube, so I'm gonna guess maybe 2006 was the last time I played through the game to the end. So it's been a while.
Oh shit!
I have never owned it or played it on any other platform except the GameCube until last week. So
I have it on Wii. I played it on Wii.
Yeah, I was say most people I thought played it on Wii.
2014 was the last time I probably played it. 2014, 2015.
Did you guys see that video?
I think the Wii version.
Might have brought this up last week, but Good Vibes, is that where John is now?
Yeah.
He showed like the flaws of why Wii games looked worse than they should have.
Yeah, that was an interesting
video. And then on Wii U, how you can make them look, you can turn off the
flicker or something?
Some kind of filter thing that just and the scaling, the zoom, and it looks so much sharper. Wii games looked actually really good. Like it was, I would say,
it looked good on the
twice
Wii.
as clear. With those things turned off. The only way you do that is you crack your Wii U, homebrew it or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was impressive. And then he found out that like even RE4 was just stretched. It wasn't native widescreen, so they were just stretching the GameCube version. And seeing those Wii games like running at their native scaling and without that whatever deflicker, whatever it is, turned off.
Yeah, deflicker.
I mean, Mario Kart Wii like looked I would say twice as clear with in the YouTube footage. I was like, damn. So I've been meaning to hack my Wii U, and that'd be something I would try.
Yeah, I would definitely do that, especially considering I am going back to play all those Wii games. You know, I would like to maybe do that.
And it's just like, what were they thinking? You know, what the hell were they thinking? And then the Wii that just had a very low quality component out, which limited what you could do, or how the games could look. I mean, no VGA, no digital out.
The Wii HDMI.
So
I wonder what quality of that is, because I just put it in thinking it's got to be better, right? It's HDMI. The little white dongle that goes into. I thought it looked better, but I don't know. Could have been fooling myself.
Yeah, because the component out on the Wii, that's technically still an analog out, I believe, and HDMI is digital, so I don't know. But yeah, it's just weird. It's just interesting that the decision Nintendo made for the Wii U.
They always make weird decisions. It wasn't just that. They make weird decisions with all their consoles as far as like resolution and stuff. All that stuff goes. Like I want to say like everybody else was kind of doing 480p and Nintendo was doing like 360 and shit. And there was no reason for it.
Is that
the
just
console
overly
can handle?
cautious?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I just think, and especially the poor N64, all the fucking buffering, filtering they did on that thing, unnecessary stuff they did to that console. The games could have looked better. Could have looked, it could have looked close to what the Dreamcast did with the VG, what are they called? VGA cable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because all you had was composite video. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, N64 could have looked that clean. But just Nintendo just does weird things when it comes to that. They worry about it.
Right.
They over worry about it being universal. They didn't do that with the GameCube though. The GameCube, they said, "Fuck it."
Their games were the only ones you're guaranteed to have 480p support.
Yeah.
And Dolby Pro Logic 2 support.
Up until the GameCube, and then after the GameCube, they went back to their bullshit again with the Wii and Wii U even. So I don't know. It's weird.
I bought a Dolby Pro Logic 2 receiver after I got my GameCube, just so I could experience five channel surround sound on the GameCube. Like that was my main motivation for like upgrading my receiver back in 2000, probably 3 or 4. It's like I want Pro Logic 2 because that took 3 channels into discrete back channels. I don't know how it worked. Because it was it Resident Evil? It was either Resident Evil or it might have been RE4. There was a section where there's a waterfall or something. I don't know if it was a waterfall or a fountain. And you could turn your character around, or the camera, and you would hear the waterfall, and then you'd hear it over here, then you hear it in the front, center, and it blew my mind that the GameCube could do that. And so Nintendo was at that point, I think they were on the forefront of technologies and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, the system.
I always feel so bad for the GameCube. Like it's like I imagine like what would it have been like? I mean, I accept Microsoft today, but what it would have been like if Microsoft didn't show up that gen, and maybe they just showed it with 360, and the GameCube would have got probably got all the Sega stuff that went to Microsoft instead. It would have got all that. They would have kept Rare, so we would have ended up with our Donkey Kong Racing. We would have had probably a better Star Fox Adventures. It would have been better, I think, if they rushed that goddamn game to be done with it. All the stuff that they were gonna do, Perfect Dark, all that stuff. it just pains me to think what it would have been like. And then obviously they would have sold at least twice as much as they sold the GameCube. They would have sold at least 40 million.
Dude,
not
my
more.
question.
They came out a year after the PS2 though, right? The Xbox and GameCube.
Well, let me ask a question. Do you think the 360 would have had a better or worse start?
I think 360 probably would have had a better start.
Really?
But I don't know. Maybe not.
Try link out.
They needed that generation to work out the kinks as far as Xbox Live and all that.
Yeah.
I'll link that video I was just talking about too with the Wii. How to get the Wii games.
Maybe the Xbox One would have been good.
Ooh.
Yeah. Maybe
unfortunately,
the 360 would have struggled, and then
the kicker.
I don't know. No, I think 360 still would have done good had it come out in 2005, like it did.
But we didn't have.
It would have been a year early,
processor.
and then PlayStation 3 would have still been PlayStation 3. So it would still had issues.
The kicker is.
Can you guys? Sorry, in the group chat, try link. Is that link let you click on it? I know sometimes YouTube chat kills links if they're. And what's up, hipsters? Sorry, go ahead.
I will say. The irony of it all is the thing that ruins the Xbox One, at least as far as the Kinect issue, was the Wii, because they essentially chased the Wii audience, and it burned them because they wouldn't let it go for so long, to the point where they integrated it into their next console.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
And it only cracked me up because I was talking to somebody recently. They were like, "Did Nintendo sabotage Microsoft?" I was like, "What you mean?" And, and he brings it up, and I'm like,
"Not intentionally, but
I would say, you could say unintentionally, maybe, but I don't think. It wasn't intentional. I think it was just they saw the money there. They went after the money, and they wouldn't let go of the idea of there being a bunch of money there. And it didn't pay off.
Kinect did well. It sold like 20 million units.
No, it did well.
No, it
did
did really well for them. Yeah.
On 360, and
so they just wouldn't.
So it wasn't just fool's gold. It wasn't just like, oh, look what Nintendo did. Let's do that. They actually made some. They made some money off of it, and so I can't really. It's not all Nintendo's fault that they chased it because they were
it wasn't
successful.
worth it long. It just wasn't
No, of course
worth in the
not.
long run. Yeah, that was the
No,
issue.
everybody could see that except for Microsoft. It was like, okay, this is a cool thing on 360, but let's not. It's not the future, bro.
Are you sure, man?
I
Look
just-
at this.
I
Though.
liked my Connect Adventures, man, for a little
I
bit.
just-
It was cool. It
a
was
little
fun.
bit.
I
still
just
gotta
saw
play
I
that
just saw
Rabbids
some
games,
a
the
cool
Rabbids
Connect
games.
Sports.
I just saw
Mhm.
something I didn't want to see. Some really cool footage, a TV spot that Super Mario
Oh,
Brothers
no.
movie posted on Twitter.
Oh,
God
really?
You
damn
should already knew that was coming. You should have knew that was
It just
coming.
looked like
Gotta
it was going to
stay
be
off
the usual
Twitter,
footage,
man.
and they showed something completely new. I'm like,
No,
God,
you
Oh
gotta stay off
no!
TV spot.
No, listen, we're like what 2 days from opening, man.
I'm staying off
pretty
Twitter.
good. It looks good.
People are seeing it now, so people are gonna like screenshot shit with their phone in the cinemas and stuff.
Yeah,
You
that's
gotta
why I say.
stay-
That's why I
you
said
gotta
it's better to see it on
speed
day
shit.
of release. You should just go ahead and see it day of release.
Because
Yeah.
that's the clicks, man. You spoil shit. Idiots will
People-
fucking click on
people
it.
already
People are
talking
gonna
about
like
stay
it.
away.
Oh my god, no way!
Motherfuckers
I
already
didn't
talking
know
about
I didn't-
post-credit
Rosalina
scenes. I'm like,
dies.
what the fuck?
Yeah, like what is going on? We have the movie. Ain't even out yet.
Rosalina in a
Come on,
bikini.
post-credits.
Damn!
Rosalina has
I'm liking this, so it pops up in
That's
Retro's
crazy.
feed.
Oh god,
No, it doesn't.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, I mean, there's certain movies that I watched that first day, and this is definitely one of them where I'm like, I gotta watch it the very first day. I've got to.
Oh, you better, because then people ain't gonna cut nobody a break afterwards. So you
Yeah,
might
like
as
it's
well.
not even it's the very first day and showing, so I'll be
Here's
one
the
of
thing
first
about-
ones. Woo!
I'm surprised you ain't try to go for a midnight release, man.
I'm going for 3 p.m. earlier than midnight.
Shut the fuck up.
Way earlier than midnight.
The thing is with movies, like, yeah, spoiler of seeing something cool on a Twitter video instead of in the movie. But I watch movies so many times over and over that I most of the time I like them more the second, third, fourth time I've seen them. So it's not like
Yeah.
I'm not like devastated that I just saw a really cool 2 seconds of something, because
sure.
I'll be watching that movie, probably 4 or 5 times this year. Once in the theater for sure, and at least
On your projector is gonna look
at least
nuts.
3-4 times. I mean, even the YouTube video trailer looks amazing,
Oh yeah.
but not even close because it's not in 4K or HDR, so it's not even close to what the physical release will be. But
Mhm.
I know I'm just gonna be watching that scene or some of those scenes over and over and over. Like, it
Yeah,
might not.
imagine-
The
Imagine
way
we
I
watched it,
see
we all hate it.
the way I see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's
is
terrible.
like,
We're like, that was
let's use
trash.
an example of like let's use Lord of the Rings. 'Cause everybody fucking seen Lord of the Rings. Let's use like Gandalf on the bridge
Did
with the
Terrell watch
Balrog,
Lord of the
you-
Rings?
with the
Yeah,
Balrog, you
I've
know.
seen it. I
You
didn't see about
shall
Twitter.
not
I didn't see about
Yeah, no,
Twitter
but that's what.
today.
But let's
Right.
everybody thinks, man, this giant Balrog thing is gonna be. Gandalf is gonna fight it, and then you're gonna start watching the movie for the first time. The whole movie, I'm gonna be like, oh, is this how he's gonna end up on the bridge? Well, he's gonna have the monster. The monster isn't there. Is it gonna come from over there? I mean, the whole fucking movie, I'm gonna be watching towards a point. That's why I don't like
Yeah.
spoilers.
He
If
does
you're going
fight him,
spoiler free.
but in the next movie,
Yeah.
and as they're falling.
That's why exactly. On top of that, you're gonna fuck
Right.
with that. On top of that too.
Right.
See,
Yeah,
that
it
doesn't
was
happen to me.
fucking
That
epic.
once I'm in watching a movie, I get so like in the moment, like I don't think about that outside
Yeah.
stuff anymore. Like,
Yeah, I often forget stuff that I know about the movie as I'm watching it. I just
I'm
oh,
not
yeah,
sitting
that's
there.
right.
Maybe Batman vs Superman because I watched some spoiler reviews because it was so divided. I was like, oh, I don't know. I knew Wonder Woman was gonna make an appearance, but I can't remember if I was like, oh, here
The
she
trailer
comes.
showed her.
I was just like watching the movie, all of a sudden, and I'm like, holy shit, the chills. I wasn't like sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
Oh, this is when she's
Still
coming.
The best theme music for any superhero of all time.
Unfortunately, though, for me, like with No Way Home, like with Spider-Man, where I know you guys don't. 2 of the people don't care about this movie, but like I was
trash.
I already knew that Andrew Garfield and Toby were gonna be in it. Not that I actively looked out to see it. It was unavoidable for me. Even
Yeah,
though
I
it was
knew
the
it
first
too.
showing, it was first damn showing I saw it in. But I remember months ago they had leaked set pics of things that potentially was real, potentially wasn't, and it turned out that was legit real. Them on him on the railing, that was leaked like months beforehand. I'm like, oh my God. And in my mind, I keep thinking, oh, that was the photo that I saw from a month ago, like 2 months. I'm like, damn it.
This is gonna be controversial.
The idea for that movie came from The Flash, which still isn't out yet. Like, Kevin Feige he's a gangster, but he watched what Civil War was born out of BVS. That's why they did Civil War, because of BVS, and then Namor, because Aquaman. I mean, they eventually might have gotten to these characters, but because DC were doing them, and he was just trying to negate everything.
Well, the Flash was supposed to be out 2018,
Flash
2019.
was supposed to be out right before No Way Home.
Gotcha.
And they confirmed Michael Keaton.
Now it looks like they're copying. Well, no, actually, Marvel copied their idea,
because they confirmed Michael Keaton way back then.
Oh yeah, it was
like that.
I remember
2016 or something.
Yeah.
So here's my controversial statement to, at least I know Retro for sure will think this is controversial. If like Andrew Garfield's appearance in No Way Home is like, if it's ruined by knowing that he's going to be in there, then that tells me then your movie's based around reveals and not like good plot and characters. Like that tells me your movies, your reveals are your highlight of your movie.
They were a part of that movie, and that's why I felt
they could have had complete strangers that had never acted before as different Spider-Mans. What just made it more is, it made it extra emotional. The fact that they used those actors from the previous
knowing
made it better.
I had no problem with that.
Knowing they were going to be in the movie shouldn't ruin them, like their impact in the movie. Like it shouldn't.
No, but it doesn't. It does though.
It ruins the first. It ruins the first time viewing. That's what I would say.
That initial
surprise, but it doesn't ruin the movie.
It wouldn't ruin the movie, but it does ruin the first time.
You know what's funny? So my sister didn't know. Somehow she saw that shit.
Really? You think it ruined the first time viewing?
She saw it like a month or two after, and somehow she's like, she texts me, "Yo, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were in Spider-Man." I'm like. Wait, don't tell me you didn't know about that. I mean, that's amazing. I'm very happy for you. But how the hell did you not know about that? And she's like, she's always on Twitter and stuff. It's just somehow, I guess, it's different circles, right? Different circles of the internet you're on. So for me, like, I'll be, for some reason, they still show me a bunch of Horizon stuff, even though I don't type in Horizon. They always show me Horizon stuff and Ghost of Tsushima stuff. And I still don't know why, but they show me that. Then they'll also show
probably from that Aloy porn you look up.
Oh, Jin porn too.
Hey man, relax, bro.
The naked mod, the nude mod.
You exposed, bitch.
But the whole thing is I just thought that was so funny. But I would have loved to have been in her position and not know that that would have been so cool. It's the same thing with like even the Mario movie now, where it's like, man, it would have been nice to not know the whole Luma stuff. I'm like, is it Luma?
Yeah, kind of weird.
That would have been cool to not know.
And to me that means, all right, there's gonna be some Galaxy stuff, which is awesome because Galaxy is my favorite game of all time. But it would have been nice to not know that.
I've said that about the Mario Kart stuff. I was like, man, they fucking should not have gone. Nobody was fucking expecting. Maybe nobody was expecting that shit.
That was a little different.
You don't think? No way.
No, I kind of agree.
If people say they were expecting Mario Kart, I don't believe you.
I wasn't expecting Mario Kart at all.
Not that you were expecting
the first Mario movie that needs to work. You're like, yeah, let's put Mario Strikers in there and Mario Kart. No way. Nobody's thinking that shit.
Mario Kart is like.
I wouldn't say I was expecting, predicting it, but seeing it. If you want to, I'm going to quote Fight Club here.
It works, yeah. But
Jack's complete lack of surprise. Like, there's no. Once I saw it, it made perfect sense. There wasn't like, oh my god, it's just ruined for me now.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's going to be the. It's going to be the whole third act. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be the whole third act.
Mario Kart 8 is why it's in there.
There's going to be so much in there that you haven't seen. That's going to blow your freaking mind. That knowing that Mario Kart's in there.
Sure it will be.
That's what I say. Like
the one Twitter thing that said. That I thought was so. I was dying laughing. It said I guess he saw it say there's gonna be caimans that will drain your warp pipe. I'm like, whoa, what? That's so fucking weird to say. They're gonna drain my warp pipe. Whoa, damn.
It's a little risque.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
I
whoa.
should do that with this shirt. This bit's sleepy. So.
Yeah, I just
That's really intense. I'm like, in the movie theater, my warp pipe's gonna be drained. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty intense.
That's something that Robert would say normally. That's the kicker of it all.
I don't know.
But you
how
would
funny.
casually say that shit. Like, man, my warp pipe is just drained, my boy.
Yeah.
on the
Just
flip
dump
side
it.
though, that can work to
Yeah.
a movie's favor. Deadpool 2 made it look like there's this big team up, and then they
Yes,
trick you
which
by
was
having them
great.
die
That was so-
instantly.
That was great.
Come
That was
on, that's like the
amazing.
perfect like reversal of quote unquote
Mhm.
spoilers.
Soothe my fireballs.
Yeah.
That was so
My
good.
Because everybody thought it was gonna be a team up movie. They're like, oh,
Now
Deadpool's got
you
this
probably
team.
won't be able to make a trailer like that anymore because you're gonna get sued out of the ass because of course
Well,
America.
not for Deadpool.
Well,
Deadpool
I'll
can
say
do
this.
it
I'll
again.
say this though.
They're
We
not gonna
should-
make
we
it.
should-
They're not gonna say under the law you cannot sue except for Deadpool. Get the fuck out of there. They're not gonna say shit like that.
No, I'm saying Deadpool
we should
Deadpool,
predict-
Deadpool
yeah.
wouldn't do it again.
What are we
We
talking
should
about?
predict if there's a. What do you think will be the most obscure character from the Mario series that will be in this movie as a cameo that we don't know? Like it
Obscure?
could, like just in the side, just in the very.
Oh,
I
behind-
know.
Ward. Ward.
Now,
back.
What would be really obscure?
Birdo?
I was gonna say
Yeah,
Birdo,
Birdo
but
one
Is
Yeah,
Birdo
but-
that obscure?
That's pretty
That's the
obscure.
most obscure.
Charge
That's
and
not
no,
the
no,
obscure that I feel
Charge
like.
and Chuck would be a deep cut.
Yeah.
Really?
that would
I could
be-
see-
Because he's
I think
also
so.
he's also in.
Charging Chuck in the
3D
movie.
World.
I feel like it's got to be someone that's not
Is
even
he in 3D
playable.
World?
Hmm.
Yeah, he's in 3D
He's in
World.
3D World.
Fuck.
His
Someone
buff
that's not even
ass.
play. I feel like it's got to be someone that's not even playable. Like not even because
Well,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
it
sure
would-
Charger Chuck is playable in Mario Strikers. the
It
new
would
one.
be like one of the villains from Mario 2 or something. Like,
Yeah, Wart would make the most sense.
Wart,
If you're gonna
or
pick
even
someone-
Wart would be. Yeah, that would make the.
I
most
heard.
sense.
Well, I don't want to say that. I don't retro get mad at me.
Oh yeah, I don't know about
you
that.
spoil. You spoil
I'll
the
just say
movie.
there's like fourth
No.
No, we don't
wall
hear your
breaking
theories.
kind of Easter eggs too, from what someone hinted
What about
at.
Piantas? Maybe they have the Pianta. Whoa.
Well, I think
Also,
having the.
Weren't they showing them a trailer at some point?
No,
the Piantas. I didn't see anything.
no,
I
they
think-
didn't show the Beyonces. No.
I
I
think the
would
fourth
want the
wall was
Piantas to
broken.
be in there just to fuck with team.
That's why I would love that. I want
He
to.
like motherfucker.
They showed a bunch of different like galaxy worlds or whatever, and I didn't. Maybe they
I
did
think
show them.
the fourth wall was broken pretty well with the Super Mario or the Super. What do they call it? The Mario Brothers plumbing commercial
Hmm.
with the,
Yeah,
the
that was
Super
cool.
Mario theme song from the show, the
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
Show. That was fucking. I was not expecting that.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
That was
amazing.
amazing.
That was
I
a-
love
that-
clip so
that's-
much.
That's something I wish that I hadn't seen. I wish that I had seen it in the movie instead. 'Cause
That's a. I mean, it's not like a deep cut, but it's a now.
That's
by
a
now,
pretty deep
that's
cut.
That's a deep cut by now.
And
you
it's a
know,
really
like-
cool idea though
Well,
that
yeah,
for the movie.
that's the thing.
to have
The
that
way they made it
into a
into
commercial.
a commercial. Like
Mhm.
that's what makes it cool. Like, yeah, I expect maybe they reference they reference the show somehow. You know, maybe say somebody's name Captain Lou or something like that. But to take the
Mouse.
song, the theme song, and turn it into a commercial. That
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
was brilliant, bro. That's brilliance.
Maybe a Hotel Mario reference. Maybe they'll have like
Oh.
some CDI. Like
If
that
you
would be
ask
huge.
Mario
Listen,
RPG.
Let's listen. to
Yeah,
this.
some Super Mario RPG. Oh, maybe they
what-
got Gino. Imagine they got Gino in.
That would probably be pretty
the
good
Super
too.
I was
Mario
thinking, what about the Philips CDI game? Didn't they do something on April Fools or something with that, saying that they were going to be remastered? Didn't
Can
Nintendo
we-
put out a
Maybe.
tweet saying?
Who?
I didn't notice
Nintendo
anything
didn't put no CDI tweet out. They ain't ever
What?
gonna do
because
that.
they know better.
Somebody
Basically,
did. I
it sound
thought-
like that.
No, it's probably. Well,
That would-
remember with
But
Twitter,
that would have
they
been
don't have
hilarious
the
if
check
Nintendo
marks
had
like
done
anymore.
it. That would have been
Well,
hilarious. if it was
how
Nintendo.
about this? How about because now we're gonna do Mario Kart, so fucking every door is open for me now.
Every
How
door
about
is
like non-Mario franchise? How about like a fucking Triforce somewhere in the background, shit like that, you know? Like
I've
like
had
Zelda, or
people have
Metroid,
said
like a
that
little
they-
figure
that-
somewhere.
Well, doesn't Mario share a universe with one other character? I forget who it
Donkey
is.
Kong,
No, I thought it was someone else.
Yoshi.
When they're like, there's a Mario enemy
Just
that's
name
also
off a
in.
whole Mario.
No,
character. Go ahead.
there's a Mario enemy in Zelda, isn't there?
There's a what is
Just
it?
in the
Oh,
one
and Link's
game.
Awakening.
That was a
is
dream,
also
though.
like
Awakening.
Goombas
Spoilers.
and
Yeah.
Ching Chong
That's what it
and
was.
stuff.
That's
That's
what I
not
was thinking.
canon though, because none of that was real.
That was because
Hey, what is in that? It's the only other game he's ever been in.
Mario
That's
has
fucking
canon.
canon
What
for
the
me.
fuck?
that's Koizumi. You got to thank Koizumi for that one. That's
Yeah, but that none of that really happened in that game. So
no.
Damn it.
count.
It's all a dream.
Wait, isn't there? Hold on. Hold
Oh,
on.
spoilers for a
What?
game that's
That's
30 years
it.
old.
How dare you?
Wait, hold on.
You son of a
Wait,
bitch.
isn't there?
I'll
isn't
never
there
play a game again.
Isn't there a Mario game where you can meet like some Nintendo and it's like you're in a bar or something? I don't think it's a bar, but it's like you have a drink with them or some shit. Ah, man.
I know what you. I think.
what about a
I-
Super
You know
Mario
what I'm saying?
Land
That
enemy?
kind of sounds familiar, but I don't remember.
Are you thinking the casino shit they put in?
Oh
bonus
yeah,
shit?
the Wii game, the fucking
Mario.
What the
the
fuck?
street one. What's it called? The
Cameo
Wii. It's like the
reference-
Wii
I'm not gonna look
Monopoly or some shit.
Yeah,
I gotta be careful. I was looking at Mario
Is
Cameo.
it?
That's
Is it
gonna be
like
obviously
Casino
stuff.
Street or something like
yeah,
that?
something like that. Something like that.
It has like a
Yeah.
bunch of bootleg Nintendo characters in it and everything.
Yeah.
That might be what you're thinking
I
of.
don't know. There's.
Robert.
I remember there's something. Unless it's. Is it curved? Isn't.
Is it what?
That's tough. I know there's
Are
something.
you thinking of the Smash reveal of Min Min with like Captain Falcon and stuff?
No.
No,
No,
what?
because like this
I know what
legit.
you're referring to, but no.
This was
Jesus.
legit. It might have been even a Kirby game, maybe that had like.
Kirby has done that too, to be fair.
It might have been Kirby. The more I think about it, that had like these references, but I don't.
Yeah, but Nintendo. I mean, not Nintendo. Zelda and Mario have had crossover. You go to Ocarina of Time, you look in the window, you see pictures of Mario and shit
Yeah.
in the castle.
And like
it's the
Super
same
Mario
fucking
RPG,
team.
Link is like sleeping in
Yeah.
the bed and
Right.
stuff.
Right. They've crossed over. The theme song to Ocarina of Time is the flute from Mario 3, the warp flute.
Oh, word? Oh, that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
holy
that's
shit, I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
They do
that's right.
That is
crossovers
true.
all the time. So when
I'm
I
gonna be
realized
like,
that, my mind was fucking blown. I was like, that shit is
I'll
That
be
is
even
crazy.
more obscure. Like, if in a Mario movie, you know, like they're actually like in Brooklyn or whatever in the real world, I want somebody with like a NES belt, like some Captain N reference, you know, some wicked obscure shit like that.
I still think Hotel Mario would be even more obscure. I mean, like this game sold like nothing, right? So it's gotta like if you say,
Well, to be fair, the thing it was on
Luigi,
sold
maybe we
nothing,
go
too.
to the castle. Like you have one of those cutscene things like
I hope they
playing.
got
Yeah.
lots of spaghetti.
Yeah, hope it got lots of spaghetti.
oh, shit.
Why
You
do
know?
I remember that?
Something like
Son
that.
of a bitch.
It's like the live action movie. That's beautiful.
They probably will reference the live action movie. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
As bad as it is a guilty pleasure of mine. I enjoy watching that fucking movie.
What is
Oh my God.
that?
I love that movie.
What
man.
is that, bro?
You haven't seen the Mario movie?
No,
Original?
man.
You gotta watch it, bro. You gotta watch it.
I don't
How
care what
y'all
people
gonna,
say.
how
I
you
love
gonna bring
movie,
this up
man.
like, yeah, man? Listen, now I know this great one's coming out, but you need to watch the original dog shit one.
You know, like,
Yeah, look.
Is that?
It's a good movie. It's a terrible Mario Brothers movie. That's the problem with it.
So you would actually call it a good film in itself?
If it was something else, I would like it. Yeah, I like the ideas in it. It's very
Well, see, Retro, you
out
care
there.
about style. You don't give a fuck about substance. We've been through this already.
Substance,
Okay, so
man.
hold on,
There's
so
a
yeah,
ton
so-
of Mario shit in there, man.
I like how
That's
they took the stuff literally. They took like the Mushroom Kingdom literally, and they turned the
Yeah.
fucking king into a fucking fungus. You know, like, they turned him into literal fungus.
Oh,
To
you
me,
mean
like,
that one? Oh, was I
like
not
a little
supposed to do
wind-up
that?
bomb and
Yeah, the
shit.
little wind up a bomb. They take that shit literally. I'm like, this
That's
is
so good.
it's crazy.
Okay, so in Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, this is what I was thinking. There's a cafe, but
Oh,
this was during development. It got cut,
I
but
know
it
what
had
you're talking
originally
about, yeah.
it had Fox.
Uh,
Damn it.
yeah, you're
Oh.
right. Is that
And then
cafe
Link.
you get? You
That's
can get
right. That's
I
right.
know what you're talking
That's
about.
what I'm thinking. But it's not actually in the game. That's all I
It's
was
not in
thinking.
the game. They cut
It's
it.
just one of
Yeah.
those,
It's
you know,
such
did
a-
you know gaming type thing you learn about.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
such
they-
an off-brand reference. I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about because I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
seeing it. Jesus
Yeah, that's right.
Christ.
Well, then
Now that-
maybe they could do something like that.
That's a
Have
deep cut.
Now imagine that. That would be a crazy. They're in a cafe and they have all like 6 of those dudes just sitting around. We would go ape shit.
That would be
Imagine we
way
saw fucking
bigger.
Fox,
It's
Alamar.
it'd be like
Shannon.
it'd be
Oh
like the
my God.
cantina scene in fucking Star Wars or some shit. That should be great.
It'd be nuts.
Jesus
You go,
Christ.
holy shit! It's fucking. Oh my god! Oh my god!
It seems like people have been who have seen the movie are like, yeah, Nintendo needs to have like an expanded universe based after
Yeah,
this
mate.
movie.
I'm sure.
Most people want to see it because they have so many IPs that have a lot of cool stories you can tell.
And
I've
I'm
been waiting some great Zelda shit. For so many years.
you know what they're looking for. They're waiting.
F-Zero juice.
They're waiting. They're waiting. Listen, they're waiting on that.
Man,
The two that are gonna have the hardest, that low key will probably have the hardest stories are probably like Star Fox and fucking Metroid, and everyone's in the.
they'll
back
probably
like,
do a
yo.
damn Pokemon
I think
CG
Zelda
one
could be
after
fucking
Mario
incredible.
instead
there's-
of like.
Well, they've been
Zelda-
talking about. They've been
Zelda-
talking about Detective Pikachu.
You gotta
too,
do
anyway.
Zelda. But all right, let's move on.
We're off the
What?
rails.
I need to I need to ask you guys
Oh, that it's
all
canceled.
the question. Just give me your answer, no interruption from anybody else. Robert, does Breath of the Wild have dungeons? Yes or no?
Yes.
T, does Breath of the Wild have dungeons?
No.
Retro Death, does Breath of the Wild have dungeons?
no.
Juice, does Breath of the Wild have dungeons? No. Terrell,
No.
okay. 73% of people on Twitter said yes.
I was one
And
of them.
after so Alana Pierce did a reaction to the footage, and she goes,
What do you mean? Yes.
"That's what." So she said, "Oh, I wonder if these mechanics will be usable in the dungeons and this and that." And I was like, and I heard somebody else talking about dungeons. I'm like, man, it's just weird hearing people. I find it odd people talking about dungeons and Tears of the Kingdom like it's guaranteed when they weren't in Breath of the Wild. She's like, what do you mean? They're absolutely in Breath of the Wild. And I'm like,
What?
I said, tell that to all the diehard Zelda purists and see how that goes. I said, when you say dungeon, talking about Zelda, you're talking about you enter a place, you find keys, you find the compass, you find the map,
Right.
you get the boss key, you defeat the boss, you get a heart piece. That's
The staple of Zelda
dungeon.
for decades.
You can't just say dungeon
It's not
as
that
some
hard.
generic term. And she
Right.
goes, I've been playing Zelda my whole life, and Breath of the Wild absolutely has dungeons. I said, wow.
Oh, you've been playing that shit wrong.
I said
man.
I could have saved myself a bunch of arguments and a bunch of time and just said, yeah, Breath of the Wild has dungeons, and got out of the discussion. And then I did the poll, and I think it was like 73% said that it did. And I'm like, I said, well, what do you consider a dungeon? Got no reply. And then we had a little talk in the group chat. And I said it all along. I said the divine beasts were a good, and the shrines were a good dungeon alternative, but in no way ever did I consider those dungeons in the Zelda sense.
But remember, let's be real here. The people who were making those statements are kind of casuals. I mean, I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Hey, man,
these are
like-
hey,
people
man, I
that
just think
probably
it-
just got on with Breath of the Wild.
Or
as far as
and that
Zelda
people
goes.
say like caves in Elden
Yeah.
Ring are dungeons, and for I know Retro's beaten.
And they're not.
Those aren't dungeons. The catacombs have a little hint of a dungeon element where you have to find a switch.
And they're pretty short from my.
Those aren't
experience
dungeons. I don't
so
even
far.
consider Stormville Castle a dungeon. It's just
No, it's not.
it's a From Software thing. But people call those dungeons. It's a very loose term, and I just said I can't believe that it's just that many people are saying that they said it has dungeons. Now there was no
Are
option.
these
Well,
Diablo people or
it's like what counts as a dungeon then? And
Well,
so
I think you should have said what if you would have said traditional dungeon? Maybe you would have had
there's
more
no
people say
you don't
no.
need to say traditional dungeon when talking about
You're
Zelda.
talking about Zelda? It's just a dungeon. You know
Yeah,
what
if
a
it's
dungeon
Zelda,
is.
you
Every
That's
Zelda
what
game.
I've heard is that I always heard people talk about traditional dungeons. Oh, they want
It's in the
traditional
first
dungeons.
game all the way up to Breath of the Wild. Like we know what a dungeon is when we're talking about Zelda. We're talking about keys and going through
Well,
puzzle rooms.
I've always
Puzzle
felt that
rooms.
I always felt that the
That's what a
divine
dungeon
beast.
is.
Well, the divine beast had puzzles and all that. I just felt like
No, it had one big puzzle.
yes,
It's not a puzzle. It's not puzzle rooms.
and then a boss. And I just always felt
Yeah,
it's
that
the
was
closest-
very similar to every boss in the goddamn game. It was
It's the
very
closest
similar.
thing to a dungeon, but
Oh.
it's not a Zelda dungeon.
No, yeah,
it's
It's not like a traditional.
I would say
dungeon,
it's their
But that's what I'm
replacement.
saying. I felt like it was like the spin on a dungeon, like for Breath of the Wild type.
Let me say it
the
like this.
spicier spin.
For
on it.
me, and I won't even talk about how the divine beasts look like vomit. I won't even mention
Oh
that.
my God.
Here's the thing: the
This is
divine
you
beast,
just being too
the
damn much,
divine
bro.
beast, no matter how you look at it, is one small puzzle. That's what it is. It's not a for me a dungeon. It doesn't even need a key or a compass or a map. Fine, make it Breath of the Wild. Make it completely open. You can go to any place. There's going to be a temple. You go in there, and there will be a boss at the end. even if you keep it at that, maybe you gain an ability that you don't need anywhere else so that you can do them in any order. I don't care, but they have to be themed to a specific area. You go in there and they're long. You go from room to room. It's kind of like a maze. You have a puzzle here, you solve something there. Every single divine beast is basically one puzzle, and that's what it is. The bird has the wing thing. It's like one small room. The one is kind of in the dark. The other one, it kind of like moves around a little bit. It's very similar to the bird. Even have the same mechanic. They're not giant. They're not big. You have some of the shrines that are longer than the divine beasts and stuff.
That's why I always included the two.
Dungeons. And then again, they share the most annoying monochrome bosses. They're borderline mid bosses. They're like mini bosses. They don't count.
Hey, Richard, don't use this as an excuse just to random.
Man, they're dope as shit.
Yeah, but that's why I don't consider these dungeons.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
but I will say
the theme part. That's a huge part of it.
That's why I always said that if they would have just changed them. But for me personally, my mind was more blown by figuring out I had to tilt Meadow so that I could. One time it made something slide. The other time I had to tilt it so that I could glide down to this other area. Like when I was stuck. I didn't know what was the first divine beast I went to. I didn't know what the hell to do. And finally I looked at the map and I'm like, what is? And I figured it out. It just clicked and I was like, to me that was more as memorable as like the water temple from Ocarina of Time, because it'd been a while since I've been that, like, I wouldn't say mind blown, but it stuck with me. I still remember when it came together for me. And then like raising the water and spinning the wheels, like that stuff to me was really cool. Yeah, they didn't go, you didn't have to do too much of that playing through it on my third playthrough. I've gotten through the one on Death Mountain really quickly. It wasn't terribly difficult, but it still was really cool. But in no way, shape, or form did I ever like, yep, this is a Zelda dungeon. Like it's an equivalent, I guess, but or replacement.
Way, the music is also a differentiating factor when it comes to Zelda dungeons. Like they're so memorable. You know exactly what I'm talking about already, because that's a big part of Zelda dungeons as well. The freaking standout themes.
Like every dungeon had its own music, and atmosphere, and I feel like when you went into a dungeon in Zelda, you're gonna holy shit, okay, let's do this. And then you go out and you're like, it's a breath of fresh air. You're free again. It's like, holy shit, I have that behind me. And the Divine Beasts just didn't have that for me. They were like a loose plot point, if anything.
Wait, hold on, but did you think they were cool though?
So here's the thing. I liked everything leading up to them, like going.
You didn't like
them,
the puzzle, the big one puzzle.
No, I didn't like it mainly because, again, visually, I'm sorry, but I said it. They look like I couldn't stand how they look visually on the inside.
I don't completely disagree. I don't completely disagree with you.
Yeah, but okay, visually, whatever. But like, come on, man. Like the actual puzzles were smart. You know what I'm saying? Like they were very smart puzzles.
Get into the trunk of the elephant and stuff. Like I always thought that stuff was cool.
Like,
and
what game have you played like that where it's like these very smart? Other than Zelda, other Zelda games, like they're very smart puzzles.
Well, yeah, here's what I've been thinking about this a lot. All right, so first off, what is it? 3 of them was really cool to get in them. Like you had the epic Prince Sidon. You're swimming and you're hitting the ice blocks are shooting at you, and you got to use the Cryonis or to break them. That shit was tense. The bomb arrows in the sky with Von Meadow. And then the cam, which I always forget his damn name, you know, somebody said it last week. The music there, tell me there's no special music inside, but the music during those moments was epic as hell. Oh yeah, so
that's why I say I don't completely disagree.
So for me,
there is some stuff
that was super memorable. And then just from personal standpoint, my motivation to avenge the death of this, well, other than fucking Rivali. I didn't like like Rivali, but to avenge
Rivali is a dick.
The motivation to get revenge for these Blight Ganons killing these the champions who I had seen in the memories and stuff. Yeah, I was so motivated. Like I never felt so motivated like to get through something in just like a all right, I'm playing a dungeon in any other Zelda game, other than Skyward Sword, like, hey, am I going to actually run into Zelda this time? Am I going to catch up to her? It's just, yeah, I'm doing it. It's fun. I get a new item. It's cool. But I'm just saying, for me, it was such a different. Everything about the Divine Beast was so different, and most of it was a positive for me. Like, I just. And then afterwards, and you see they give like a little nod, their spirits. Dude, man, I got choked up during every one of those.
How much better would that have been had you been fighting like a corrupt version of each champion?
That could have been cool too.
That
I actually
would have been
I thought
freaking amazing.
I thought the Blight Ganon, a couple of them were actually really good, and a couple were.
I like
See,
the Blight Ganon.
here's my problem with the Blight Ganons. I'm sure I liked one or two, but I don't remember which one. Like, they're so similar in design and bland looking. Like, I just don't remember.
So
who's who.
I'll make my point with that. My issue is the two that to me that stick out is the first one you do, which for me was the water one. Is the Zora's Domain. That one sticks out, and Thunder Blight, and mainly because Thunder Blight is insanely fucking hard.
Yeah, you got
going
to
in
the parry.
Asshole.
Which is the Gerudo. I also remember, because I think Gerudo's the camel was just more interesting. The setup for it was more interesting with the whole sand riding and shit. You had to go between the legs of it, like it was cool.
Yeah,
and talking to the descendant beforehand, you had to connect with the descendant.
Of course. But that's like two of them, because two of them I think stick out better. I don't act like they all had the issue, but I would say and to be fair, they tried to make all of them interesting. Rivali's I think is the weakest one of all of them. I even remember.
Really, I remember that one.
To me, that
was actually
Redania I like because it's low key a stealth mission, low key because you're essentially sneaking up on the lizard on the mountain with was it young Jobo
or whatever. Yo.
Yeah, it's something. It's
I actually didn't like. I actually don't like him. Following. You got to take the guys out. To me, that was probably my least favorite.
Well,
getting to the Divine Beast
because I know it was him building his own confidence.
But it was cool, like looking up and seeing him crawl around the Death Mountain. Like
that's part of the reason why I like Age of Calamity. I think very much vindicates.
Yeah, visually it was very cool
in the beginning.
So,
but like, I get that their dungeons light in a lot of ways, and the main issue is that they all have the similar gimmick of moving the dungeon itself, and there's not really much variation in it. The only one that actually sticks out to me in that way is actually Rivali sticks out in the fact that you had to I remember you had to shoot arrows through fire to hit certain points to move it because you were stuck behind gates and shit. That one, ironically enough, is more interesting inside of it versus the others that I think are more interesting outside of it.
But you're constantly gliding in the it's super cool.
No, the problem is they have each of them have elements that you can fuck with. But none of them are just singularly great.
Well, here's the thing. On top of that, you only need to beat two of them bitches. You know what I mean? You don't even have to beat them all.
I don't think you have to beat them all. To be fair, you don't need to beat them all in general, though.
I'm just saying.
I mean, their abilities.
A traditional way to play it would be you have to beat at least two of them for a traditional way to play it. You know, obviously you can fine. You can go and handle it, without.
And you do get a new ability. Let's just not pretend like you don't get a new ability.
No,
at
you
the
do.
End.
It's the difference is you get it at the end instead of getting it
That's like a nail in the coffin for me, and most people don't really care, but it bothered the shit out of me.
Now the game sucks because of this one thing.
Once you beat them all, your overworld is destroyed forever. You have these 4 fucking lasers that never disappear, and I goddamn hated that. All the time, there's the fucking lasers, like fucking snipers sitting there.
Well, the only reason you hated it because they're all jaggy and low quality looking. If they,
when you beat them, they take aim all 4 of them, and there's this red line through the entire game for the rest of the game.
Oh, you mean so cool? That looks so cool, man.
That doesn't look cool. That was stupid, man.
That's not. You're the only person who would say some shit.
It looks like shit.
Probably just bothers me, When you have
retro, you're such a retro dog. I can't mean no one else's retro is retro, bro.
What a way to.
The world is just made you be beautiful and shit,
Just why you let this retro on here, man? You knew this was gonna happen.
I mean, it's such a perfect way to let you know where your progress. Like, hey, you've done 2 Divine Beasts.
Yeah,
2 more to go.
They're waiting on your command to fire the fucking laser.
And you tell me,
man,
you want to know beautiful progress? an Ocarina of Time when Death Mountain is fucking completely ripping everything apart. You save Death Mountain, it becomes a normal, beautiful mountain. That's how you fucking see progress.
Oh
I don't
my
need a
God.
laser shooting out from Death Mountain. Like, look, you saved me. Like, it's stupid.
You're probably next gonna say
No,
that it
come
wasn't
on, man,
epic
this
as
looks
hell
so
when they
fast,
took
you know,
took their
every
perch.
corner.
That music while they were
That
taking
was
their
hard as
perch.
fuck.
So
Yeah,
I
what
like
the?
the fact that they stood there and aimed themselves towards them. You
Mhm.
didn't need a fucking no scope
Oh my
360
God.
laser sight
Hey,
over
man.
the world.
He's going
Why'd
off
you
the
put that
rails.
laser on my fucking
The
screen,
breath
bro?
clocked it is gonna be dying with the Breath of the Wild 8.
Oh god, he's going off the rails.
And that's
now.
I'm not misquoting him. I guarantee that's happening right now. I'll just go to summarize. So yeah, you get to know the descendant of the champion. So you get that connection. Then most of them have you doing some kind of task or some kind of journey or some epic thing to get in the divine beast. And then to me, most of them had a pretty cool mechanic when you're in this giant machine and you can look outside when you're up in Meadow. You can look down and see Hyrule below, and it looks amazing. And you
can
know,
jump out that bitch and float to the bottom.
you're
if you got
controlling.
the-
Actually, no, it
Yeah, you
it
can.
loads.
No, that's right.
No, you
It
die.
doesn't-
I think you.
I think it brings you back up or it loads.
brings you back up. That's
Yeah.
true. That's
Because it's a load.
Because now
separate
you're in like
area.
a cutscene, low key.
But
Yeah.
so then you have that epic moment. Then you like the view is awesome in there. Yeah, you know the aesthetics all look the same. I said this. You know they could have changed that up. Most of them I thought were clever. Had clever little puzzle. You know to figure out how to find all the 5 whatever little things you had to activate. Boss fights. You know I'm not mad at somebody. If they're like, oh, the boss fights weren't the best. I mean, Zelda boss fights, let's be real. You know, it's like, do the thing to knock them down and hit their weak spot, and then they get up. You do it 3 times and they die. Like,
I always love that about Zelda.
there's never
Finding
been,
out
like,
how to
these
defeat
So
epic-
why are
enemies
you
and
like this,
stuff.
bro?
There
Well,
hasn't
that's
been a
both
ton of
Zelda
like
and Mario. They,
amazing epic
same
boss
team,
fights.
They like to do that.
But anyway, so then you actually get to talk to the spirit of the champion after you already kind of feel like you know him a little bit. And like to me, I got choked up when they made their little last nod to their
I love all of that
descendant.
for sure.
You get the music when they get up on their perch and they're like getting ready for Ganon and get their revenge. All that added up to me was so epic and so good. Like I'll take those over any traditional
I
dungeon.
especially love the memory of Mifa pouring her heart out to Link and Link being just like, okay, bitch, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, great shit.
Like to me, and there's
Oh, and then-
Sandstorm. I don't know if you heard what we're talking about. We're talking about the divine
Well, I
beasts,
think-
and do you count them as dungeons? You think there's dungeons in Breath of the Wild?
Well, narratively, before you answer, narratively, I think I have a problem with the fact that these badass champions died to these garbage ass Blight Ganons. Like, how did Rivali? How did you lose to that weak ass?
Revolves is
Blight
actually
Ganon?
a joke. It is a joke. I will say
Like,
that.
come on, man. Like,
I mean, it's
Depends
only
on when
one-
you face them, though. I had a bit
You know
of a
what
tough
else- you
time
know
with
what-
them.
you know what-
Urbosa should not be losing to her Blight Ganon either. Like, what the?
Yeah.
You
Bro,
know when I
they got
think it's-
armies behind him. They got
No,
armies
no. The
behind
only
him,
thing I would
you know?
say, the only thing that would have been cooler is if you got to fight with their younger generation when you fought like the Blight Ganon itself, like showing that the new generation is physically more improved than like
Yeah.
the previous generation. The problem is you don't really get to see much of like Urobosa and them.
Well,
fight
that's why I think the Blight
before they
Ganon.
die.
I think the Blight Ganon should have been a possessed version of the champion, right? And obviously,
Yeah, that's what I was originally
Yeah,
thinking.
because you know what
Like,
happens?
something-
You know what happens? Now everybody has unique freaking abilities when they fight you and shit, and memorable. You know, that's a memorable boss battle. You're fighting Urbosa, you're fighting Rivali,
You're fighting your friends and that
yeah,
kind
you're
of
fighting
shit,
your friends,
you know?
and it's kind of conflicting. And maybe halfway in the battle, they kind of come out, "No, Link," blah blah, or something cool like that, and it's like, "Oh shit, this shit is deep, son."
Sounds
When
like
you
the
saw
evil dad.
when you
Go
saw
ahead, go ahead.
Blight Ganons and
Answer the
stuff,
question, my man Sandstorm. Answer the question. What do you think?
Is there dungeons in Breath of the Wild?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Simple.
Yes or
Yeah.
no?
Yes, there's dungeons in Breath
Oh
of the Wild.
fuck.
What are the
I
dungeons?
heard his
Turn this
talk.
guy's mic off.
T was like, I don't fucking do this anymore.
So
I'm
describe
fucking
the
dead.
dungeons in Breath of the
Traditional
Wild.
dungeons, but they're dungeons.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't. Okay. I don't know if they're like.
How long
you
have you
can't,
been
you
playing
can't backtrack.
Zelda?
You can't
I don't know.
backtrack.
I don't know if I would call them typical dungeons.
No, they're not typical, but they're
No,
dungeons.
yeah.
No, they'll be putting adjectives in
Based
there.
on what definition, though?
Okay, so let me ask you
You
this.
trying to get fucking descriptive in this
Let
bitch.
me ask you this: is that maze over in the top right corner? Do you consider that a dungeon?
No,
No, I
mean,
consider it a maze.
and you can get through a couple of those like really quickly if you come from the top.
That's like, dude, do you consider the maze in front of the forest temple of Ocarina of Time a dungeon? Like, what the fuck?
They had the potential to be dungeons, but this was, at the end of the day, it was
but
just a
they're not.
shrine
Yeah, I was
quest.
gonna say, but the difference is when you come out of the maze in Ocarina of Time, you go into the dungeon, whereas like at the
Because
end
it has
of this-
dungeons.
at the end of this, there's the reward. You know what I'm saying? Like that's part of the
Because
the whole
there was some shrines like Retroset Death said there were some really long
Some
involved
cool intricate ass
shrines
shrine. Yeah.
that could have
Yeah.
been a part of a dungeon. I mean, easily
For
they could combine
Definitely.
3 or 4 of those and it been a very a very traditional feeling Zelda dungeon.
Yeah.
But
So what? So let me assume all of y'all are unanimous on their.
You and Robert-
No, I said
Robert
there
said
are. I
yes.
said there are.
No,
dungeons.
Robert.
Okay.
did.
Oh,
Robert agrees
okay.
with you.
see,
I
if
got
you
paired
just
up a
like
lot.
As much as that counts.
Yeah. So you, the veteran Zelda player, and the guy in diapers, y'all are the two ones that believe.
Y'all
Hey,
different,
man.
man.
Hey,
Y'all
man.
feel different.
it's funny because
The only guy on your side is the one who played one Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Right,
Like,
and didn't even get opponent.
Yeah. So congratulations, that's the camp you're in.
Yeah.
and Robert's not going to build a
What-
vehicle
what-
in
what
Tears of the
Zelda-
Kingdom. I'm calling it.
Oh man.
What happened?
You're not going to build a vehicle in Tears of the Kingdom. You didn't cook in Breath of the
He-
Wild.
he-
You
he-
better not build
he's
no
not
damn
gonna do
vehicle.
that. I know he's not gonna do that.
required.
You're going to walk on foot everywhere you go.
Dude, I feel Robert, like if they make the building of vehicles like limitless with the amount of pieces, because Robert likes Minecraft, he's gonna build this fucking huge ass mansion on wheels.
He's going
I
to build the
already
most
know it.
offensive looking,
Oh
ridiculous
my god,
thing.
that's true. You could build like a whole house that could move. That's nuts.
Depending on how, if they don't limit you with how many pieces, man, I'm gonna fucking go
Yeah.
go like.
Yeah.
But
fucking,
we'll get into that in a little bit.
You're gonna see people
Oh my God,
driving
you could-
by.
You
You
could
should've
make-
known this
you
was
could
gonna
make
happen.
a
You
house
should've known
like
this was
up,
gonna happen,
like up.
Juice. It's over.
I don't think it's going to be that in
You
depth.
could make it
But
like the movie
It-
up.
it-
because
it's
Robert-
gone, bro.
Because Robert doesn't like customizing. He takes the basic stuff. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
have like house moving castle, and Robert's gonna have like a 2x4 on the wheel.
he's going to have. He's going to make
Oh
the
my God.
the
With
boat
mushroom wheels.
that Anuma made. That's it. That's the standard boat. That's the one that was
Yeah.
made
He's
officially.
like, I'm riding.
by
I'm riding,
Nintendo.
guys. I'm riding.
That's all
I
he's
got
going to
the
do.
secret.
He's going to copy
You
the
could, like,
balloon.
pause
And
the trailer and shit.
so yeah, just ending the dungeon discussion. I don't know how many times in the last 4 years I've seen, oh, I hope Breath of the Wild 2 brings back dungeons. I hope dungeons come back.
I've seen it
How many
so
fucking
many
times?
times.
Underwater, swimming, dungeons, non-breakable weapons. Like
Those are like the
I
three
must have
things.
dreamt that because so many people said that in
I've
Alana
seen that
Pierce.
so many times.
Oh,
over
the dungeons
last
are just
5
it's in
years.
there. They're in there. So I still don't know if what Tears of the Kingdom is gonna do. They have
Yeah,
no
who
sign of
knows?
shrines or anything, but
Nope.
yeah, it was.
So
They
my
can't-
guy- my
They can't
guess
do
to that-
shrines again because that's narrative to Breath of the Wild. I don't.
Yeah.
They can't just do shrines.
I could
They
again.
see
might
them,
do-
though.
Maybe they'll do caves.
I could
Maybe
see them
say-
doing
Yeah.
120 something where you go in
What-
and they have a
what's that?
challenge.
I got a question. I got a question. Now that
Shrine.
Robert just said something, now I got a question. If they change the aesthetics to look like a cave, does that count as a dungeon?
Of
No,
what?
it's a cave.
I don't know. I think the caves are.
So each
Instead of-
cave. So you have an ice
Instead
cave.
of
You have
it
a
being
lava cave.
shrine- Yeah, instead of it being a shrine, they changed the aesthetics to look like Ju said, like a lava shrine or a different kind of cave, a water cave.
but
or
there's
something.
120 of them?
They still wouldn't be dungeons because at the most you would call a shrine. You can call it a mini dungeon if anything. Like Ocarina of Time had like the well and the ice cavern. They're like mini dungeons. There's not
I was gonna say,
actual
do you
dungeons.
consider that a dungeon, right? Ice cavern.
Yeah, they're like mini dungeons.
they're
Exactly.
mini-
but
they're
not
mini
actual
Because in a
dungeons.
dungeon, because in most dungeons in Zelda, you get an item, right?
Mhm.
You get
But
an
at
item?
the end, of most of the shrines, you you get some sort of item, whether it's a weapon that you already had or
You get a fucking orb. That's what you get.
Or
But shrines are just standalone puzzles. That's why you can change the
They're more like
aesthetics.
challenge
It's still going to
rooms.
be a standalone.
You get an
puzzle.
item walking around the fucking fields. You know,
Yeah,
that's
how would you feel, Retro?
that's a
That's
dungeon.
special.
Would that make you like feel better
That's a dungeon.
if they
My
get
man,
shrines?
Okay, here's the
Hey,
thing.
man,
that wouldn't,
that's a
that
dungeon.
wouldn't make me feel better because here's the thing, and I've always
What
said
would make
this,
you feel better?
the,
Retro?
the shrines in Breath of the Wild are one of my favorite things in gaming ever. I fucking love the shrines.
Hey, when you
But
talk
they're not
like this,
dungeons. You can change the aesthetics of them. I'm gonna like them less because the shrines in Breath of the Wild are fucking perfect when it comes to how they look, the music, the
Really?
puzzles, the way you can solve the puzzles, and
I feel
multiple
like that makes
things.
no sense for you, but
But they're not, no, just because
you
they're
like
not
how they
dungeons
look
doesn't mean
now?
I don't love them.
You're
welcome,
rather
welcome,
you-
welcome
you
to
wouldn't-
retro.
well, they have
Welcome to
slate
retro.
color, dark color walls, not
They
looks
look
like
exactly
sandstone.
like the damn Divine Beast.
Hey man, if
That's
you
what I
change
like how
that
they
tint,
look.
let's listen. If you
They're
change
very
that color
similar.
tint a couple grades down, Retro's like it's trash.
You're not going. You like
You
you
mean
like
they don't? The,
you like
the,
the
the architecture is very similar to Divine Beast. What are you talking
but
about?
they're blue.
Definitely
Blue.
not at
Hey
all.
You like,
man, if it,
wait,
listen,
wait.
if they make
You
them
like
light green, it's fucking dog shit. You can't do
You
it.
like you like the ambient instead of like a.
It's cutting out.
you
It
cut
cut
out.
that out. The noise canceling.
You know it's canceling.
There was
itself
some there was a couple done or shrines with like lava and stuff, but for the most part they all looked very similar. And I thought, but I loved them too. Like I never missed the Zelda dungeons for a second playing Breath of the Wild. And you can't just say, oh, the shrines are dungeons because there's about 15 that were just test your strength, and then there was probably another 10 to 15 that were you got in and you just went straight up and got your orb because it was everything outside. Getting to the shrine was the challenge or was the puzzle.
You know what I hate about those? Those shrines where you did the quest outside and you go inside just to get your reward, those had a different soundtrack than the other shrines. And that was fucking amazing. And I still can't find that online because it sounds just
You
slightly
don't deserve
different.
it. That's why, man.
So I'm glad we settled this debate. Dungeons
Oh,
definitely
it's so settled.
weren't in Breath of the Wild.
That
But
was on your first controversial
I was-
statement, wasn't it?
No.
Well, that's worse.
No.
How's that? How's that controversial?
Here's the
Like,
thing, though.
Have you
Here's the
played
thing,
any
though.
other Zelda game?
I do think Tears of the Kingdom will have dungeons, and the reasons for that
I do
is
too.
in the original trailer, when you saw the murals, you had like the creature, it had like 7 symbols around it. To me, that represents 7 dungeons you could find. In the trailers, you see like specifically the volcano is corrupted, the area and like
There's a
Zork
whole
is
like
corrupted.
lightning.
That will make me
lightning in the
think
sky,
that
yeah.
themed dungeons that have existed there in the past that they didn't know of that you're going to discover and stuff. Like, I honestly feel you can have dungeons. You can do them in any order. You can get ability, like every ability you see, for example, in the trailer, like the Ascent and the Fuse, feels like there could be abilities you could get from a dungeon that you don't need to do all the dungeons and stuff. They could do it perfectly.
You're gonna get it the same way you got the Sheikah Slate stuff. You know, they're gonna nail you. They're gonna block you off from the rest of the world until you get those abilities.
I don't think they'll do that again.
I think so.
I think
so.
Yeah, T, I agree. I think the moves they showed, those are your replacements for the Sheikah Slate runes.
Mhm.
You're gonna get
I
those
agree
in the
with that,
beginning.
for sure.
Yeah, but you couldn't do that. You couldn't leave the Great Plateau until you got all them shits. So
That's
I
gonna
would
be your
think
basis
that out.
for the game, and we'll get in. I want to set this up before we get into that any further. So, Retro and Death and I had a debate, at least for maybe 5 years ago. We were talking about the Switch, its power. Retro Death and I, and everybody had their opinion back then, but I
For some
know
reason, I thought there was another comma in there and it fucked me up.
Retro and I
Retro
were the
Death
ones
and
I remember the most.
yeah, it's Retro and Death and I. I'm like,
Retro Death and I.
oh, that's why I said who?
Well, Retro Death, comma
And
Death,
I.
and I,
And I.
the three of us. We had a debate
Come in here. Hey, Death.
about
There's 2 of him. There is 2 of him. So that
Grim
makes
Reaper.
sense.
about the
Come to the
potential
soul, bitch.
for a built from the ground up Zelda game or a sequel that didn't have to cater or make sure it works on the Wii U for the visual improvements or whatever we said, graphical leap or whatever the phrasing was. And I distinctly remember Retro expectations were that it was going to be, I don't know the wording, significant, very
A big
noticeable.
graphical improvement for sure.
I said I expected minimal because I said Breath of the Wild I thought was already tapping the Switch, and they wouldn't have a whole lot of extra juice to do much other than maybe bump the resolution or
Some
add
visual flair here. and
add
there,
some
in
visual
fact.
flair here and there.
See
So
what you did there?
for me, and this I think this is funny because Retro and you were saying it was going to be a bigger, and we've seen Switch games that have surprised me more than I expected what it was capable of. But
Like,
just like
Xenoblade Chronicles 3, for example.
Xenoblade, yeah,
Man,
like Luigi's Mansion
insane.
3, Animal Crossing,
Metroid
all
Prime.
looked a little bit better
Metroid Prime.
than I expected. But
Prime Remaster.
when I saw
Eh.
this new gameplay footage, and Anuma started on, by the Dueling Peaks stable. To me, I watched it on my phone and I watched it on my TV. I seen what I would consider minimal to zero visual enhancements over Breath of the Wild. It looks the same to me. Like, I'm talking the density, the grass, the draw distance, the level detail distance, the shadow detail or shadow quality. It all looks the same to me. Then this isn't a negative. And then when they went to the sky, I was like, oh, the cloud system, that's the thing that they're putting all the extra, and just having way more land masses visible at the same time. I don't think I'm even thinking that they're using the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 scaling, and I'm betting the game runs at like 540 or 640, and they're upscaling it to look close to what Breath of the Wild. To me, that footage showed me what I was expecting, and then the Retro Death kind of said the same thing, that it showed you what you were expecting, which was more of a visual improvement. So I thought that was funny that we both saw what we needed,
Completely different thing.
what we
Because,
needed to see.
That's how you saw it. And the way, because what I saw from my perspective is, because obviously, like, we've had a debate for a long time, so I was paying attention to that. Specifically, when you're in the sky, first of all, like, the draw distance is absolutely insane. The fact that it's a seamless transition. It's one fucking world. It's not like Battle for Atlas, like there's a fake transition. There's no transition. It's one world. When he's like above the in the sky, and you see all the clouds
In the
around,
Golden
and the way the
Land?
rocks look, and
Yeah.
the grass, the fauna and stuff, the flora. I mean, the way everything looks to me, at least, it visually looks way better than Breath of the Wild. That is what I feel when you look at the water and the foliage. When he's in the sky, specifically fighting like those constructs and stuff, it looks visually better to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but at least it was what I was expecting.
Now y'all need to understand.
Honestly, it looked worse. It looked
For those in the chat and who don't know Retro Death, I need to explain this to you. Retro Death has a tendency of doing one or two things. He will either say something everyone completely agrees with and have the worst reasoning behind it,
Yeah.
or he'll flat out say something that don't make no fucking sense, but use the reasoning someone else used to argue against him as the reason why he's right. And here's the kicker: both ways, you always the conversation always ends with, "All right, Retro, you just do you, dog," because like there ain't nothing. There's literally nothing you can do.
And we call these retro deathisms.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the Ministry of Retro Death. You just standing there with a fucking black leather type vest on, talking about the word of Zelda and some shit like that.
That was so perfect, Terrell.
That is
So
great. That
just
is
go
great.
live
That was a great
chat. Just go
analysis.
around the room. Just give like this opening sequence. I mean, just give me your take. Whoever wants to go first.
It looks like a Wii U game.
Oh,
And I want to stress too, like this isn't like, oh my god, this is such a huge problem. It's terrible. I'm just trying to figure out if I'm completely off the wall or if I'm crazy here. To me, I'm seeing like zero graphical like.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought it looked worse, but that's not the game's fault. That's a YouTube problem.
Yeah, I'm taking into consideration the streaming. I'm actually assuming it's going to look a little bit better.
yeah.
Okay.
The actual, but you can compare two YouTube videos of Breath of the Wild and this. To me,
Right,
like
that's what
I'm not seeing like I'm not seeing where they're like, oh, they got you know, they're using anti-aliasing. They've increased this or that. Like to me, it just looks like the same graphical settings, the same world, the
Yeah,
same
I think-
everything.
If
To be
you
honest-
hid the HUD and didn't look up in the sky, I thought you were playing Breath of the Wild. I was like, and you
Yeah,
know,
I would
so
agree.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's just I think they just
which is
picked
fine.
the art style. Yeah, they picked the art style and they went with it.
Yeah,
You know,
like
we have to remember.
Well, they weren't
though,
gonna change the art style. I'm just talking about the graphical. Like if you had a PC and you could bump up
I feel
texture
like,
quality.
Like I said, if you look at
I
those
think we
rock
gotta-
textures, to me that looks better. Like, but maybe
Retro,
it is
shut
just
up.
me, you know.
Okay,
I honestly think that.
So look, to me,
Retro.
you
I'm gonna
just
go-
gotta remember. You gotta remember that this was essentially DLC in the first place. So I
Well,
feel
you gotta
like
make it. Just say you don't gotta like justify it. Like
no.
this is a built from the ground up
that's
Zelda
the
sequel with 6 years development on the Switch. I mean,
But that's the justification, like in it. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't need the bump because essentially it was DLC in the first place. So
well, whether or not needed
I don't
it,
know.
We don't
Yeah,
know.
we- yeah, we
I
don't-
didn't see-
we're
I
just
didn't see
saying,
them-
do
I
you
didn't
see it?
them-
I'm just asking, do
No,
you see it?
we
Because
understand
I
I'm
didn't- I didn't-
you
I
need a
didn't
bump.
see them needing
This-
a bump.
on the
I don't
other
think it
hand,
has a bump.
and it's hard to compare because there's nothing. I mean, this is all new assets, new colors palette, new cloud system. Like to me, this looks like they should have started with this, because to me, like this. All right, this is a new Zelda game kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Now, I still
This
don't
is
feel like it's like,
stunning.
oh my god, this looks vastly, or this
Aaron-
is a big
Aaron,
difference.
I don't think it's small
That
at
draw
all.
distance looks pretty cool. I mean,
But
Yeah,
it
I don't
looks
think it's the
good.
same at all.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
So I just want to be. I
and
don't wanna-
especially for the Switch, like
And you know what's
Mm.
crazy? You know what's crazy? There's another section in here where it's like, okay, all these look like they're on the same level, and then you look in the draw distance and you can still see it like still going up.
Going
like the
higher.
island. So, yeah,
Look at
right
the
there.
way back
Right there.
before
Well,
the
Breath of the
fire.
Wild, I
like
mean,
that
has
yeah.
little shadow.
It's like, whoa, okay, so how high are we really going?
Yeah,
Well, that's
and
the
unlike,
other thing.
Unlike other games, you know, oh, I can actually fucking go there.
Mhm.
Like you see shit like that in other games, you know that's just
Invisible wall.
that's some shit in the
Well,
background.
that's the other thing too. I said back in the day, I said they might do nothing except have more stuff in the distance, like more detail in the distance, a longer level of detail, so that you can see distant trees. Like I said, that might be all they were going to do, and
Yeah.
I think they did more than that with adding the
and
cloud
that's why
and the
it took
smoke
so long.
system. But and
Wow.
I think this area looks. I love how this looks. So.
Yeah, this looks.
Is this the Golden Land, the fabled Golden Land?
Yeah, man.
don't know.
Look at
I
all
mean,
the
it
shit
is
you're gonna be
gold.
seeing in this
But-
game, like,
Gold
oh
leaves
my
and
God, it's
gold.
nuts.
There's, I mean, if I was just like I was saying earlier, like I'm not. To me, this stuff is like, this isn't like criticism of the game or how good it's gonna be
No,
or how
it's
many
like
hours
that-
I'm gonna play it. Like, I don't have any like emotional attachment when I talk about technical stuff like this. It's not coming from an emotional standpoint. I'm just observing and I'm telling you what I see, and this, like, on a technical graphical settings perspective, I don't see anything above Breath of the Wild other than more stuff on the screen, but nothing like, oh my god, like that looks so much clearer, that looks cleaner, this textures look better. It looks like this, obviously the same graphics. I mean, it looks like the same game engine, but the cloud system really stands out. Yeah, the water looks a little bit different to me, but I don't think it was as massive.
Deuce.
I really would love to see comparisons because when I look at the trees and the rocks and the water, I feel it's a vast improvement. But again, maybe you're gonna.
What do you consider a vast improvement? I guess is my question. Like,
This game.
I mean, this looks pretty like. I mean, but
the game, man. Good.
and
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
even- I don't give you details.
I'm sorry, Clocked
Take
It.
my leave on that one. I can't argue with that logic. Goddamn.
I want to apologize to Clocked It, but when you're just looking at the grass, like the shadows and I mean, there's no anti-aliasing. I don't think there was in Breath of the Wild. Like when he's running through the grass here, like that looks so Breath of the Wild to me. I'm gonna say it looks a little bit lower, a little bit blurry, but this could be the stream. Like right here, like
Gotta have the same fucking grass. It's the best grass.
that looks.
gaming
I
ever
mean, that
fucking
looks
had.
just like Breath of the Wild, but yellow grass. Like to me, I'm not seeing any difference. And again, this isn't a negative. I'm just pointing out, going back to our debate from 4 or 5 years ago.
But when you look at the way the lighting falls on the trees and stuff, I don't know. I
It
just
did
think
that
it looks
before.
different.
Hey, like Laker Link said, this can only be ran on the Switch Pro.
I don't remember people saying that.
Look how high that one
I really
goes,
don't
man.
remember.
Well, it was
Wait, did you just
You
see
don't
that
remember
dragon
that?
all the way up there?
You don't
Holy
remember?
shit.
Yeah,
you don't
damn.
remember? This has definitely got to be images of Switch Pro.
Yeah, well, they said that about
Dude.
Monster
Well-
Hunter Rise too.
well, it was the clouds
I-
though
Like,
that
they
really
wanted,
got
they
people.
said that because they wanted a Switch Pro. I don't believe any of that shit. I never believed it.
But if you
Those guys just
remember,
wanted a Switch Pro. They wanted to be right. All they're theorizing. Oh, that's Switch Pro right there. They wanted to be right and see, like, see, I told you that was Switch Pro. No, I don't
If you
believe
wanna-
any of that shit.
It
If you
was
want to talk
Switch Pro,
massive
but
improvements, look
it
at
was
that
Switch
fucking.
Pro, but they decided that they were
Yeah,
gonna.
that's what they were saying too. It was like, oh, they decided, because the pandemic, that the hardware they were working on all this time, they just said, no, we're not going to put that out.
This is Switch
the
Pro
what?
footage. Switch
What?
Pro footage, but you can't get this on Switch Pro.
And people
Well,
run with that. People believe it.
here's
It's like,
the thing
what
that
is
drove me
wrong
nuts
with-
though. What
It was never a Switch Pro.
They took what Digital Foundry said and completely changed it. They just said, "Oh, it looks like they're using an upscaling in the cloud." They were talking specifically about the clouds. They have some kind of new cloud thing that they definitely didn't think the Switch was capable of. Obviously, they were wrong. And people took that, "Oh, it's too big." Remember, it was like, "Oh, it's too big for Switch. The game's going to be too big." And they're like, "What?" They didn't say it. It had nothing to do with the size of the game. It was
I
literally
really don't remember.
the cloud rendering. They said looked a little bit advanced for Switch, and that's like I said, that's where I think a lot of the extra juice they got out of.
How did they know? Well, yeah, because we're talking about Wii U here. There's going to be some differences from a game that was built ground up on the Switch, unlike the Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was built on the Wii U, so they're going to take some advantage of some stuff they couldn't do from the different hardware. Like that's a given. Hell, fucking Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask. It was a pretty significant leap because of the expansion pack.
Mhm.
But they're going to make differences. There's going to be differences when they get a better grasp of the hardware. The original version of Ocarina of Time was Mario 64. You're going to be in a castle and you go into different hubs. That's what they were doing in the beginning. Then they realized, oh, we could actually break this up and make an open world, and so that's going to happen. That's a natural progression of development cycles. So just seeing something that looks a little cleaner, that's got to be new hardware. No, it doesn't have to be new hardware. It's just they've gotten better with the hardware that they didn't have a grasp of yet.
And that was
It's
kind of
just
my
like-
point. I honestly didn't think the Switch had any. I mean, it was such a well-known architecture and underclocked system that I was like, I don't see them like finding some secret sauce. That's what I said
Right.
back then. Now with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Monolith came up with that upscaling. The game internal resolution that renders it at 540p and it upscales it to 720 or 900, whatever. And that was in my top 3, maybe top 2 best looking games of 2022, and the native resolution is 540p. So I mean,
And
upscaling
again,
is a
Xenoblade
thing.
Chronicles 2 started on Wii U. Development, I'm sure,
And that
started
game
on Wii
still
U. Had
looks
to.
like that looks below Wii U to me still,
Right.
especially in portable mode. But that to me,
They learned.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to me is the visual jump that I imagine Retro was talking about with Breath of the Wild to Breath of the Wild 2. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to 3 is to me that level of visual jump that I was envisioned when Retro said there was going to be a big jump. So I think it did it with Xenoblade. But I guess Game Explain did a comparison of the land area, and it looked the same. Like I said, it does look. I mean, maybe they had intentionally wanted it to look identical, so that.
Right.
But I really think the cloud system is taking up any extra processing that they squeezed out of the system.
I can't wait to spend 100 hours just
Oh, yeah,
building shit.
Yeah,
Usability,
and you
man.
know it's going to be insane. We talked about how the stuff that people are going to do is going to be insane because we had no idea when they were doing stuff on Breath of the Wild they could do that shit.
Yeah.
Imagine what they're going to do with these tools, man. It's going to be beautiful on Twitter again.
Also, If you want to talk massive improvement, just look at that godlike fucking hair Link has now, man. That's
I
some
love his
sexy-ass
hair.
shit.
I will say I do like his hair in this game.
Super Link 3.
So here's my second quote unquote controversial statement that I was gonna say.
James, sorry.
It has to do with the new stuff they showed. So you have Ascend, which
Something that Robert's never going to use unless he has to.
well, you don't have to climb if there's a ceiling. You have the rewind or recall. You have the fuse, and well, you can fuse the weapons, and then you can fuse regular objects. Is there something else?
Yeah.
I think you can fuse anything you want, is what I'm thinking.
Was it Ultra Hand? Oh, the Ultra Hand was
Ultra Hand.
fused.
So here's my
Oh, yeah,
quote
that's
unquote
right.
controversial statement. Now, if somebody saw the fuse mechanic, and a lot of us were like, "Oh my god, the possibilities," but I'm not gonna get mad or be like offended by somebody who's like, that fusing that doesn't look like anything that's really anything I'm excited to do in a game. Like, I would totally like, okay, I accept that. If somebody's like, yeah, that it seems cool, but I just don't. For me, it's not like up my alley for stuff I like to do in a game. I'm not gonna be mad about that, but I kind of feel like people are kind of like trying to this doesn't look that this didn't really do much for me,
You
but
didn't like Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts?
so what I'm saying is if somebody was like that doesn't really float my boat, that fuse mechanic,
Yeah.
then I can see that there wouldn't be much else to get out of this footage, really.
Well, some people aren't into building shit. Like,
I don't know about that. I just feel like the sky alone should make you the sky alone, like how we saw those
but
layers
what
should
they
make
didn't
you, like,
show in like what any of that meant. Like,
I would
Yeah, but
expect
the
that if you weren't
possibility,
the
I don't know,
person
if you
complaining
don't
about
think that I feel like-
broken weapons.
Yeah,
I
I think that was the play for part of Fuse. Obviously, it's also to build these cool vehicles and stuff that you're going to be using in cool ways, I'm sure. But I think part of the Fuse was to placate a little bit to the people who can't stand weapon. What do you call it?
Weapon break.
durability.
Yeah.
Durability, right? Your weapon
Yeah.
durability. I think this is what. Okay, you just pick up a rock and a stick, okay, and you can save that fucking sword, that special sword you got that you don't want to use. Just go get a stick and a rock and do it that way. That way, people, because what happened was, I know I did. You start collecting cool looking swords and shit, and you didn't want to use them shits, because it
You
was
would
like,
hang them up in your house and stuff like that.
yeah,
Start
right.
putting them up on your house.
You start hanging them in your house, and it's like, okay, now I have a way to save them, without having to use them if I don't want to use them.
And they didn't show this, but there's nothing to say that you can't fuse two of those same weapons just to get a stronger version
Right.
of that weapon. So
Mhm.
That's true.
But again, like if someone's like, yeah, the fuse thing, not really anything I'm excited for, I'm not gonna be mad at them for saying, yeah, I didn't really see much.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not overly excited for it.
that's like, oh my
I'm
god, I
excited
can't wait
see
to
what
play
other
this
people are gonna
game.
do.
Like, to me, that was the highlight. So it's like,
Really? I don't think
okay,
so.
so I think that was one or two highlights because I felt like the biggest question that we were always asking was, is this going to be seamless? And that was really like,
we asked it, but I didn't really doubt it. But
I mean, I was still doubting it.
it was
What,
cool.
Sky?
Yeah, it was
But
like,
again-
a lot of world here.
How
Yeah,
many
Sky
times
was
do you
around.
see
Yeah,
yourself?
that's pretty amazing.
It's yeah, but like, at some point you're just gonna be fast traveling everywhere. Like, I don't see like that being one of those things that
Yeah,
100
maybe
hours in
you
the
can
game, you're still like, oh, I can skydive.
But you can't fast travel until you do it on foot.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you
it's
still
gonna
gotta
be
Yeah, I mean, it's
amazing
gonna be
the whole
awesome.
time.
It's gonna be awesome. I feel like the first few times, I don't know that it's gonna. Anyway,
Nah,
that's
man,
getting
I'm
off subject.
skydiving.
I'm gonna
Every time.
dive every
Skydiving every
single
time.
goddamn time.
Yeah, man, skydiving is gonna be just so badass.
Yeah, like,
Remember, I
to
was
me,
talking about diving
honest-
is just one of
to
the new
me,
things.
fusing is gonna bring to gaming what fucking climbing did in Breath of the Wild, right? Like, I
Yeah.
think that's gonna be a mechanic that's holy shit. That's a cool thing. Why hasn't somebody thought of this already?
Mhm.
You know, I think it's gonna have that.
Yeah, that's why I think it was like, if that mechanic doesn't excite you, or you're just you're not like, I'm not really. I wouldn't be mad at somebody who's like, yeah, I mean, otherwise it's very Breath of the Wild. Like,
But
that's
I
not a bad
also-
thing, but
I also think just coming to that conclusion, not having played the game, is a little is a little crazy too. You don't know.
Right.
if fusing is going to be. There's things in Breath of the Wild that I didn't think I'd like that I ended up liking.
Well, there's some people who never even cooked and tried in different recipes, you know.
Jesus Christ.
There might be people who.
God.
Yeah, but this is I keep saying that with
Some
Robert
people didn't even
Ding
wear clothes, man.
with this game specifically.
What is this? Kick Robert in a ding ding day? Like, what?
I'm just. I mean, it's a.
Hey, man, if someone wants to be a bitch dick, I don't know what to say, man. That's all I'm trying. Somebody
Like if the idea of
to me-
hooking a boulder to your branch isn't like doesn't get you excited and get your blood flowing, then I mean
It
that's-
gets my blood boiling
No,
down
that's just a little example. I'm sure there's way cooler stuff.
But
You know
there,
what
I
really gets my,
You
you know what really gets
put
me
together.
charged? Finally being able to use all those monster stuff for
Yeah.
actually something.
Yeah,
Nuts.
that
That's
was insane.
It's nuts.
Putting the eyeball on an arrow to
That was
hold
good.
as a homing
know-
arrow. That shit is up.
My mind was
Bro.
blown. First of all, when he
blew my
pulled up the
mind.
when he pulled up the material menu, and you think every single object will do something different from the arrow and the shield. That is nuts. That every single material is going to do something.
What do you think?
What?
Putting case bat wings on your
Yeah,
fucking
I was
sword or
just
something?
thinking,
Like,
the
you know,
wing
like,
do?
what's that gonna do? Like that's gonna be crazy.
yeah,
man.
I mean I'm
Putting it on your
we're
shield,
excited
what the hell is
about
that
it.
gonna do when you put it on your shield?
Yeah.
Is it gonna like?
But that's what I'm saying.
every-
I think the people that aren't as excited aren't thinking about these things fully
Not-
yet.
Here's the thing.
As-
Here's the
as
thing.
blank-
If you put
Look at
wings, if you put wings on your shield and then your shield surf, you can like shield float and shit like
Oh
that.
my god, probably. You know what I mean?
Man, come on.
Imagine, you'll be able to glide with your shield. Like, I mean, come on, it's gonna be so
Yeah,
many,
that's
like
sweet, man.
it's gonna be nuts.
That's Mario 64. That's Mario
That's
64.
I feel like it's gonna have that impactful moment at some point. When
I
you're
do have
fusing
one-
stuff.
Look how high that
I have
dragon
one
is on top,
concern
man.
that I
shit's drive me-
hope's not
it's
real.
nuts.
I hope I don't have to every time I want to shoot an arrow with an eyeball, I have to go to this menu, equip an eyeball, shoot, go to this menu. I hope that's not a thing. Hopefully you
What do
can
you mean?
just
What?
if you got to let's say you got to
looks like
shoot
it
5 or
is.
6
I think
arrows.
it will be because I don't think they want you to spam that shit. I think they.
I
what
think
To
they
me,
want-
like,
they
that's
want
a
it to be
that's a
special in each
negative.
shot.
I'm
But-
sorry.
I
but-
think when he
but-
shoots, when
but-
he shoots, I think there's a number. So
Well, the question is,
maybe
can
I
you-
want to just be able to
question is,
shoot
can you-
again and have
No,
it
no,
be an
but here's my
eyeball. I don't want
question.
to have to
Can you-
equip it.
Okay,
The question
I
is,
know. Yeah, I get
Can
that.
you
I get that.
can you pre-fuse items?
Yeah, and just
for,
like
like,
if I have 8
use?
eyeballs, I want to be able to shoot 8 arrows with eyeballs without having to
Yeah,
equip
but I
it
think you would
every
still have to-
time.
I get that.
Well, I think you would have to
think,
pre-fuse them. I think that would be my thing.
if you look at it, that's a whole different menu. It's not like the Breath of the Wild menu where you actually have to go in, slide all the way over, find the monster item you want. It looks like it's set up just like the weapon menu. So is it really?
Yeah, because it's the up on the D-pad is your.
yeah.
It brings up your items. It shows an apple.
Can you imagine?
Yeah,
You can
so it'll
shoot
be a
all those
quick-
8 arrows at the same time, like some missile barrage thing.
Well, I think
Well-
unless you're like farming for eyeballs and shit, you're only
Yeah.
gonna want to use them one at a time for special things. I don't think you're gonna sit there and shoot off fucking 10 eyeball arrows. I
Juice
just
wants to cheese the
think there's gonna
game.
be a-
He wants
I'm
I'm
eyeball
just
arrows.
saying, like, if I have to,
Yeah.
every time I shoot an arrow, I have to select this. Even if I want to shoot the same item or equip the same fused item
I get
twice.
that, too.
To me, like that
yeah.
would almost discourage me. It feels like maybe it isn't, maybe it won't, but it feels like I'll just shoot a regular arrow. Like I'll just see if I can hit the target. You know, I don't know.
Maybe you could have few
It's just
shortcuts.
something that I was thinking about. If you can't just let me fuse and say if I want to shoot 3 eyeball arrows, I shouldn't have to fuse it for each arrow.
I mean, that
Oh, well,
may be a thing.
maybe.
I'm just saying I don't think it would really bother me if it wasn't. It may
Maybe
be a thing. It may be.
maybe
I
if you
think
click on it, maybe you can click on it multiple times. Like if you go into the menu and you click on the eyeball, if you click it 3 times, then you have.
Yeah, I mean, just if it's
3.
something that simple, then yeah, done. Give me
Yeah.
3 and I'll shoot them.
What is this Zonai glue? Yo, what is this shit?
Oh, the ultra hand.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, I was saying that what Breath of the Wild did about changing the game in terms of traversal, this is changing the game in terms of combat and crafting and everything. Like it's literally giving you the complete freedom. Like
Oh,
Breath of the
by the-
Wild gave you the complete freedom, but this gives
Yeah,
you literally
but
the
you know
complete
what-
freedom for
but you-
every little aspect of your
kicker is-
daily life in here.
The
It's
kicker is
nuts.
there are plenty of other games that like wanted to do something similar, but only had it with like select weapons or certain materials, right?
Mhm.
I think the main thing that Zelda said we're gonna do to kind of circumvent it, they weren't afraid to have shit look stupid as hell when it fused.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
like putting
Yeah.
a rock with a stick is something that people have been interested in doing. They're like, well, we have to make a whole new model for like a club and shit, and then we have to have it. And he was like, nah, fuck it. We're literally just gonna put the
Just
rock
put
on
the
top
rock
of the stick, and we're just gonna have him swing it like
That's it.
like how he swings the stick. He's just gonna swing it like a hammer, like.
Oh,
But that's the main thing. They're not afraid to look stupid, about shit
Right.
looking stupid for the sake of, well, man, it's fun as hell. Because I expect half the shit in this game gonna look goofy as hell.
yeah, it's
And
gonna look
you're gonna be
crazy.
sitting there going, bro, this is awesome.
What is this Flintstones vehicle he's driving in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what would be?
Well, I was
Most people
thinking,
said that
but
when
it's-
it
How about that reference though? Ultra Hand.
Yeah.
How cool
Well,
is that?
Now,
Well,
now
all
that
that,
you
but
look
also,
at the
That was like
card,
Nintendo's the toy.
yeah.
That's cool.
How many
as hell.
people recognize?
Who's
the
gonna get that reference? Right.
Yeah, I would say.
Not
yeah,
unless
look
you
at
all
the
that's
big
us.
car now. It almost
My
looks
question
like
is
they
this,
put, like,
could
a
you-
full stable on there.
He's making a boat, but here's my question: could you then proceed to like stick the logs on like the side of a cliff and use it as like a ladder or like a stepping stones essentially?
Ooh.
Oh, see.
Like, it look like it's a full
Ooh.
How
shed
can you not
or
be
a
excited
shed.
with views?
So
You gotta be.
here's a question. I just
Actually,
literally
now you have
thought
just
of.
right viable reason for chopping down trees. Now I think about it.
Yeah.
Are these
motherfucker-
this vehicle you can build, and it's just gonna be there, and maybe it can get destroyed, maybe it can't. Because
I think it'll get.
I would be
it'll
bummed if
spawning
I like
think,
damage.
every time I have to cross a river or something, they're just gonna be conveniently placed logs and fans for me to build a raft
Maybe
instead of like
Well,
being able to
maybe
just
one
have
of
my
your
vehicle.
abilities is gonna one
No,
of your
you-
abilities could be like Animal Crossing Pocket. You just pocket the vehicle, like some
Yeah.
shit like that.
Like
It goes
Nah.
in-
That's
it goes
Zelda,
inside
that's
your
Zelda
hand.
like though. You like you're gonna find what do you call them, caches of things in the area where you can use it. Like that's a Zelda. That's a very Zelda thing where you're gonna have something out in the world and here's something I can use my ultra hand and make this item that I need to get across this chasm or whatever. That's gonna be the pocketing vehicles. Like
I want to say about
Maybe
pocketing, but
maybe you
I
can,
was just
maybe
gonna
you
say,
can
you never know.
Let's not forget.
That-
You can summon the motorcycle. Maybe it works like that. You can.
Yeah,
Summon
yeah, I was
the
gonna
vehicle.
say,
for me, that's
that
gonna take
hand-
away some of the creativeness because you're just gonna. A lot of people are just they're gonna keep driving their little dragon vehicle everywhere, and they're not gonna do anything else.
Yeah,
That,
that's true.
I don't think Nintendo is gonna want you to do that. That's why I'm not sure about even like the Keys arrow thing, because I think they don't want you to get stuck doing the same thing. Oh, I can just keep doing this.
But I also
think
don't
they
want to
want
like
you to discover and do more things. I
They
think
still
they
want you
try
to experiment.
every time you
Right,
get to
they
a
want you to
river, you're
experiment,
just gonna have to assemble 3 logs and fans. Like to me, that would almost by the end, I would say it would kind of it'd probably be kind of redundant and less impactful at that point.
Oh, is this the video where it compares?
Yeah, I mean maybe Breath of the Wild does look a little bit sharper.
One on the left
I was
looked like
about
shit.
I was about to
That's
say
what I'm
I
saying,
actually
it's not
think Tears of
fair.
the Kingdom's looking a little better, but
It's not fair
The
because
lighting's
again,
a little the time of
yeah.
day is the same, but
Yeah,
the
the
lighting on
lighting's
the
different,
horse, horse is a different horse.
it makes it look a lot better.
I'm just
And it's a
saying,
different horse,
like
too,
the
like-
haziness is identical.
One's
I almost
opponent.
think Tears of the Kingdom in this shot looked a little bit more, but I would say, to me, like this is the same. I mean, they didn't change any visual settings other than added some landmass in
I
the
would-
air.
Who was expecting to? I wasn't expecting them to.
Well, Retro Death was expecting.
Oh,
see
yeah,
right here,
sorry.
No,
I
Retro
feel
Death
like
thinks he
Tears
sees
of the
it.
Kingdom
He
looks
sees
better
it.
there.
Yeah,
I
he
feel
was
you see an
he's
improvement on the ride.
what?
I mean, it does
But
look
I
like.
think Tears of the Kingdom
Wait,
looks better
oh,
here.
Look at the sand and the floors. and
Yeah, I was
stuff.
gonna
It's
say, it
just
does look more
improvement.
deep.
The texture
That's
It
is
does look
lighting,
more
bro.
details.
That's lighting.
It
Look
could
at the
be there
shadows.
could be a little better
lighting.
texture on the ground there. I
Look
see
at the
that.
shadows.
Maybe
Yeah,
better
but
shadow
whereas
mapping or something.
lighting or texture, it's an improvement.
But it's a different
No.
time of day because you can see the
Yeah.
shadow
Yeah.
of the. They
Tough.
should have tried to
It's
match
tough.
it so the
You
shadow
know,
of the
I'm
stables.
saying is the sky is different, so the shadow.
And
It's obviously
Clearly,
the
it's
same.
More shadow
Nintendo. Who knows how old that trailer is?
The game's
Just
finished.
remember, ladies and
And the
gentlemen.
game is finished.
If you got to do all that,
Retro is
it don't look
retro.
much better. If you got to do all that explanation,
Just
size,
remember, kids.
See,
just remember, kids.
I mean, yeah, the texture's a little is different. I don't know. I would say one's like clearly better.
Retro is retro. Just remember, all hell retro.
and again, that's not the argument. The argument is way better, much better. I expected it to look better. I said again, this one's a Wii U game and one is a Switch ground up
Water's
game.
looking
So I
pretty
expected
similar.
it to look better. So that's not the you know, I don't think that's the argument. The argument is like, oh man, this is so much better. You know,
See, I
this
think
is
the
Switch
horse
Pro.
looks.
There's a Switch Pro over here.
It's again,
Not
they
quite.
should have matched the time. Either way, it's very.
And it's
I think
fine.
they're very similar. In one way, you could say, oh yeah, that one looks a little bit better, and the other, you might say, depends on the lighting. But either
I'm
way,
sure I
it's a
could
very similar presentation. That's
I'm sure I can go stand in a different spot and or an inconspicuous spot in Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, and you wouldn't know which one. Again, without the HUD, you wouldn't know which game I was playing.
I
And
can
that's
see that,
fine.
especially without side by side. So, all right, let's.
Yeah.
I want to not one last thing, but something. I'm kind of like I said earlier. I think the fuse and all that's gonna basically replace your rune moves. You know, you're not, maybe stasis will still be there, but you also have the recall, so maybe they're combining them. I kind of feel like
Didn't
I
we
watched
see Stasis
I
in, like, the
watched
earlier
No.
Or was that
Gab.
Recall?
That's recall. You're thinking. Of
Yeah,
recall.
they look
The little-
similar
the-
though.
It was like a,
They
there
look
was like
similar.
a ball, spike
Yeah,
ball
we
or
still
something.
haven't seen.
That was
we still
recall.
haven't seen the flamethrower.
Okay.
We still haven't seen the
Oh, the
flamethrower. yet.
flamethrower. That's true.
We haven't seen the bombs, but watching Gail Smulders play, she never uses the bombs. Like, unless she sees a rock that can be blown up, she doesn't use them in combat. I use them for keys, the skeleton enemies, the choo-choos. I'm using the bombs constantly.
I use the bombs all the time.
And watching her play, she never uses, like, rarely pulls out the bombs to the point where I'm like, I want to type a comment. Use your damn bombs. You can save.
Yeah.
She's using like awesome weapons to take down choo-choos and the skeleton enemies. You throw one bomb, blow their head off. Quickly switch to the square bomb, throw that, and you kill the head, and they're done. But anyway, the point is, I kind of feel like some of those, and maybe the fuse would be that for somebody, that thing they don't use as often as other people. So, my question, or my thought is, is that the thing that Nintendo's been working on for 6 years, is making sure this fuse idea works with every item in every situation? Is that what's taken them the 6 years, or do you think there's something else that's added to that? Because I've seen somebody say that's what they've been working on this whole time, is this fuse, make sure the fuse works with all these
I don't
different
know
items.
about
Switch 6 years?
that.
Come on.
Maybe not the entire 6, but why this
Yeah.
game didn't come out 3-4 years after Breath of the Wild.
I mean, the size.
The size, the expansion of the sky. I think there's some underworld stuff going on. Like,
you gotta
obviously
make
they
it
added
work.
caves.
Yeah.
There's 70% of this game. We have no idea
We've
what's
seen
going on.
shit.
I
Yeah,
would say
exactly.
85% of this thing.
Yeah, it might be even more than that.
Yeah, I think it's mostly the size and the scope of the game.
Why don't you just wait until next month and you'll find out?
That's nuts.
It's a whole new story. It's a whole new story. There's a whole new lore because of the
Everyone's
Zonai.
so impatient nowadays.
We didn't have any information really about the Zonai outside of like the art books and stuff like that. Like they had to create this whole new lore with the Zonai. There's this new deity figure, that whatever that ultra hand comes from, that figure.
But the thing we got to
There's
remember,
what's
though,
going on with- there's a whole lot of stuff
in
going on here that
2019,
we
they
don't
already
know about.
knew about the hand was already shown. They already knew what
Mhm.
that was the story. I'm kind
Yeah,
of thinking that the fuse is their big thing. It's their physics. It's their climbing for this game. I don't know how much of the development cycle was extended or even at all extended or taken up extra. But at this point, I am wondering, like, did that put extra year on the development, or
How can
was
you
it
say we
something
knew
else?
that was a story? I don't. I don't agree with that at all.
Because they showed the hand, and then they showed Link
Okay,
had
they
it.
showed the hand, but how does Nintendo? Nintendo doesn't develop with a story first, and this hand is this is the story. And
You're
so
telling
the
me they
hand
didn't
is
think
part-
that was a significant thing? That was
No.
his new ability.
Well, they knew it was significant. What I'm saying is that doesn't mean the story was.
They
locked.
might not have known about Fuse. They might not have had Fuse on their mind at that point, but they knew Link was going to have this hand on, this glove or whatever back then.
Yeah, okay, but what I'm saying is that doesn't mean they knew what the story around that device was yet, because Nintendo doesn't usually work that way. They work with the device first, and then they develop the story behind it.
Mhm.
One of the things about Ocarina of Time, to go back to that game again because it's classic, it's great, is that Miyamoto didn't want pre-rendered cutscenes because he wanted to be able to go back and change story elements later on that he changed his mind on. So I'm sure they didn't lock a story yet in 2019. I'm so sure of that. Because that's just not how Nintendo works.
Yeah, I kind of agree. They did the same thing with Majora's Mask. They knew that they wanted the 3-day mechanic, but they didn't really have.
Yeah, they start with the mechanic first, and they build the story from that. So they might have had that God Hand thing at the time. They probably just called that bitch the God Hand. They didn't know what they were going to do with it, and then they developed the story behind it later on. That's how I know Nintendo to work as far as the development stuff goes.
I mean,
however, I will say that to slightly agree with Juice, I do think when they did come up with the fuse mechanic, they're like, okay, we got this mechanic.
This is our thing.
We need to everything. What can we not fuse? Make that happen.
Right.
Make it a thing.
That's what I kind of feel like they want to show in the game.
Cutscenes. Look at the differences in the cutscenes, like Zelda falling and all that stuff. There are some differences in that stuff. They changed some stuff in there. So,
but I don't think they would have showed that in 2019, thinking that the game was come out 4 years later. Like, I feel like they thought the game was going to come out sooner. So I'm wondering what the thing was. Was it
2020?
Yeah, but to me, you won't really know until you get
what
your
happened
hands
in
on the game,
2020?
honestly.
This little thing called COVID-19 hit us really hard, and Nintendo was the least prepared of all game studios for COVID-19. They did not do the work from home stuff. They had to completely readjust their development cycle. Don't underestimate how much that impacted this game, because I think it impacted a lot.
That's a good
A
point.
lot.
Yeah.
I still feel like
people forget it's over now. COVID's over, so we forget. We just went through fucking 3 years almost of this thing just devastating us.
I feel like though that the fuse was that thing. We got to make sure this. We're not just gonna half-ass this. We got to make sure this works with everything. So
definitely.
I'd be
I'm sure
curious.
that was an early concept because of Twitter and what people were doing, all the crazy videos that people were making. By the way, I think that is beautiful. Nintendo looked at what their gamers were doing and said, hey, let's do something with that. Let's expand on that. I want them to do that more often, not less.
Yeah, you know how ridiculous those people who like, I don't know, glitch shield and all that other stuff, the crazy stuff.
Thank you.
You imagine what they can do now with the fuse mechanic?
Right. Thank you guys for putting those videos out there. Nintendo saw that shit and they were like, oh, that's pretty cool. We had no idea we could do this.
It's going to be absurd, man. Those are the people you need to watch for.
Oh, yes. I'm going to enjoy that for sure.
They're going to find the limitations of what's possible, what isn't. You know, there's somebody going to be out there saying things you can fuse together and how big of a
People are
vehicle.
going to go absurd with it.
Did you see the suicide video, the Guardian suicide video on Twitter?
I think so many videos now. I'm
well,
actually getting sick of watching the same person do
they set up
trick shots.
They set up a bunch of like a bomb or red barrels and shit, and there was a fucking one of the Guardians that can't move, they're stable. And he stood and waited for him to fire at him. He did a backflip away from that shit. the laser hit one of the barrels, and it went all the way around, and he followed it because he was in like slow mo. He followed it all the way around in a circle until it came back to the Guardian and blew him up. I was like, and he called it Guardian suicide or some shit. I was like, this shit is insane. Still they're doing stuff. I don't know how he laid those barrels down.
Yeah,
I guess he just carried them all.
It could have been on CEMU where you can just have unlimited items and stuff.
Yeah, it could have been something like that.
Yeah, I think for most of us, we weren't doing trick shots and stasis and hopping on and doing all this crazy stuff.
I could barely parry.
So I wonder
What
how
was that
much
shit called the perfect.
perfect.
Oh yeah.
I could barely pull that shit off.
I wonder how much we will be going in with the fuse. You know, like at what
Oh, I'll be
levels.
going hardcore with the
Oh,
fuse.
yeah, I'm
That's
trying to
actually
figure out
something I'll be
everything else.
going in, and the reason you would think I wouldn't for some reason, but the reason is because
Minecraft.
every time your thing is about to like infusing in terms of like in terms of like just in terms of weapons, every time your thing's about to like break, you're like, okay, let me look around me, let me try this. Okay, here we go, I'm back. Let me try this. Back, I'm here. Let me try this. Back. And it's like constant. And just
This
try
man
shit.
is
And
gonna
also in terms of like that,
build
I really
giant
think
penises.
you're probably gonna someone's gonna make a house. I think you're gonna be able to make a house and have it fly. And now I think about it, that's just amazing.
All right, so they addressed weapon break, right, Robert? Do you
Mhm.
think they're gonna address sliding in rain and shit? Because that was another thing that people were
I
way
never
super
minded.
annoyed
I just
by.
hope it
don't know, I
rains
don't- I don't know, I
less.
never really minded.
A lot
that.
of people were annoyed by that.
It
That-
rains
that was-
way too much in that game.
Yeah.
And they
that
never
was-
fixed-
that
they
was
never
another
changed
problem.
it.
Man.
It's like
Climb up 3.
it's
drop down
it's
2.
50. It feels like at least 50% of the time, especially in certain areas.
rain.
It's like
You're gonna get rubber gloves. Or
I just want to
something
fucking
when you
climb.
fly.
Like
Yeah.
I don't need
Yeah.
the rain's
Well,
cool.
to be
Like
fair, remember the Ultran is sticky. It's like glue, right? So
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, it is like glue.
Oh,
That's your hook shot. It's back.
hook shot.
Oh shit!
Oh my
So,
god.
I missed the hook shot.
I don't know if it's just because I haven't been in the gaming mindset, but I haven't even like tried to even visualize like the possibilities. I don't know if it's. I thought it was awesome when they showed it, but I'm not like, oh my god, I'm gonna spend hours. I might end up spending hours just making one
No,
vehicle.
you will.
You're gonna
You will.
100%.
Or I could be like,
you.
I just want to be on my horse and you know,
Robert, you
It's like
I just want to be on my
you
horse.
will.
What is the benefit of this
Yeah.
vehicle versus my horse? Unless it's the flying like balloon.
I think it's gonna. I
Awesomeness.
think it's gonna be a spurt thing. You're gonna be in spurts of where you want to do your vehicle thing, and you're gonna be in spurts of where you're just gonna be on foot.
Yeah,
Then
but you know
I'm-
how great. Again, there's a
You're gonna
whole
be on your
world in
horse.
the sky. You know how nice it's gonna be to craft, make a.
Yeah, but
a
you're
thing
not gonna
fly
want to
up
just
and go,
fly over
"Whoa!"
all that. You're gonna want to be.
Dude, you're gonna see replays of YouTube of Juice on this horse. You're gonna see like all of us are gonna like fucking rocket ship and shit.
Yeah, but you gotta remember. You gotta remember. Like in the end of the day, like imagine you're built. Like we saw that little rock falling down for. But you know how tough it is to probably get to even higher up there. Well, let's build something so we can fly up there. Then you just start flying, and then you're just like, oh my god, look at his view.
Yeah, if you
There's
can
air
just
one-
like you get
it's
your
official,
balloon
There's airplanes in
and you just
Tactic.
and it's just like Wind Waker, but you know a good game, and you can fly from each island, and
Whoa.
maybe you have to control the
Wow.
wind, you know, to help, or you'll
Wow.
have to put a fan on to blow you. I'm just kidding. Wind
Uh-huh,
Waker's a
uh-huh.
good game.
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker's a good game. It's a really good game. But I could see like I got my balloon, and that's how I'm traveling to every island, and that's just me, and, you know, sunsets in the air, off the
And how
clouds.
amazing is that, yo? You're literally just.
Can somebody clip this? I want to see if he holds to that. We're
What do you
gonna
mean?
see.
I just said I'm gonna make a balloon
Think
and
about
fly
it, you
everywhere.
could bring your horse with you.
Just a balloon.
I mean,
You can
whatever.
bring
Put a
horse
balloon-
with you.
Can you put a balloon on a horse? Can you put a balloon on
Well,
a
the
horse?
other vehicles have. I don't know if you noticed that battery. They're gonna run out of juice. They have a limited amount of battery. So a balloon, you just need a fan to propel you in a direction.
Maybe you can fuse
that'd
some
be okay.
electric jelly to it to keep the battery
Maybe.
going. We don't know yet.
There you go.
Wait, what was that?
Or you hit that boy in reverse and just have him alternate. Have one go and then have
I
the other
really
go.
like.
I like the idea of a
Reverse
balloon
the engine.
more than anything.
No, I agree. Me too. I mean, again, like just like seeing that dragon even higher up and
Yeah.
seeing like all
That
you have to
bitch-
do is look. Imagine if you just looked
That
up.
bitch
'Cause
was high.
it was-
Alright.
who knows how high it's gonna go, and it's just like, oh my god,
Did-
and then you got to think about there's underground parts, and let's be for real here. I know Retro's excited. There's definitely gonna be a lot of caves. There's even I saw like there was Kid and Chris that was watching that they were pointing out that it's true. There's like these X's on the map where it looks like kind of like holes, probably for caves.
Yeah,
Why-
there's definitely
You know, and
distinguishable caves.
So
Mhm.
Robert,
And it's
let me
like-
ask
it's
this
like-
random question because you talked about the dragons. Did you
Lenny
ever
said,
shoot a
"Can you-"
dragon with an arrow and collect a scale or a shard of its fang or
I
horn?
yeah I missed. Of course, yeah. No, I messed with the man. I remember messing with the
He said, "Of
dragons.
course,
Trying to look.
of course I did that. What's wrong with you?"
We had to do it
But
once
why-
for
How do you not just do? How do you not mess with a dragon like a? At least I remember like trying to see if I could get on top of it or something, but I never.
Yeah, it didn't
You
let
can't.
you.
No,
You can't.
no,
It'll shock
Lenny.
you and knock your ass off.
Yeah, I know.
Lenny
but-
said you can fuse the wings on the
That
horse?
would be awesome. Yeah, Pegasus.
Make a Pegasus round. That's
Now we're talking.
I
See,
think
what
they're
if-
probably not gonna let you fuse a live thing.
yeah, I
That's
think
gonna
they
be-
won't
Yeah.
let you fuse
Yeah,
animate
probably not.
objects.
so
It's
Eris
all
says we're
animated.
going with low expectations,
a
but
wooden horse.
I think it almost. I don't think it's low expectations. I think because we don't know what the limitations and rules are going to be. So it's you don't want to like imagine this amazing thing and then like, oh wait, it doesn't
But
let me do
truly,
that.
think about it. I really think you're going to be able to make a house, and you're going to be able to walk around
house on
in your
wheels.
house, and then it'll be able to just lift up. Because you think about it, like unless there's a limitation on how many items you can place together, you'll be able to make a big, like.
Are they going to have like
Yeah.
roof, like
Sky
actual
castle.
pieces to like work as a roof? Or you're going to have to do the big logs? Yeah, I
Yeah.
wonder.
Maybe both. You
One
know,
at a
like I said,
time.
in the car and the trailer, looks like they put like a whole full shed on there. that
That's
they
what I'm
didn't
saying.
build.
That car thing was already big. Just you already start, and then eventually the camera will be inside this roof. So
right.
literally, you're just
And
you'll have
even
a
if
door you
can't-
can look out.
even-
I like your
Even if
like
you
your
can't-
mindset, Robert. But
I'm
my
gonna build a Star Wars ATST.
what I just asked
Hey.
or what I just said though. What if you can't build a house? Are you now disappointed because the potential? Remember when I had all those ideas for what game was
Splatoon?
that? And I was coming up. I said just in 2 seconds I came up with like for Splatoon
cool
3,
idea.
yeah.
For Splatoon 3,
Come
yeah.
up with some cool games, and then it's like, yeah. Would you be bummed if you can't build a house?
I would be bummed because I'm honestly expecting that. The reason why I
sounds
say is just because I see that
plausible.
car and at the scale of that car, I'm
Mhm.
like, well, you could probably go even beyond that car, and beyond that car is essentially a house. It's pretty
Yeah, like
big.
house
that
moving
car.
castle shit, man. Like that's
Zelda
car is
Tears
really
of the
cool.
Minecraft.
Right.
I mean, and now with Retro also in Minecraft, he's gonna build a castle in the sky. This guy,
Oh.
this guy,
Retro,
the
you didn't
next
give your
day.
Elden Ring
gonna be the next
complaints
day.
either.
the Elden Ring complaint.
Robert
Oh,
Retro said before the podcast that he has some issues with Elden Ring. He wanted to tell me.
What is
And
it
this-
this time,
This is one
Retro?
simple issue, and it builds in with Zelda actually, because people love saying like, "Oh, Elden Ring, you know, it's like Breath of the Wild, open world, it revolutionizes everything, you know."
No,
And
he
here's
said
my
that.
problem: games like Breath of the Wild, and I'm gonna say the Elder Scrolls as well. You start somewhere, you go anywhere you want, any direction. You're creating a story. You're meeting people. You're starting these quests, all this kind of stuff. You can go anywhere in the world, and everything will be up to your level. You are free to go anywhere you want. In
Mhm.
Elden Ring, you don't have that, and I don't care. I haven't started even the game yet. I've been to every corner of the map, and I've been in the underworld almost in every corner. Here's the thing: eventually, in Elden Ring, when you get to new areas, you don't just have different enemies. You have overpowered enemies. Even the normal low-level enemies are going to be too strong for you. I find myself running away from enemies. You're not free to go wherever you want. The story requires you to follow the story to level up to a point to be able to go anywhere. You can't, from the first second, go wherever you want. On top of that, at this point, I've had 7 or 9 areas locked off by force fields that you won't be able to get into until the story allows you. When you take a game like Skyrim, you find a random cave somewhere or a castle, you complete it, you know, you have this quest, you don't know what you have. Then when you find the quest later on, it auto-completes itself because you've already done it. And Elden Ring just doesn't allow you to do that. You are obligated to kind of follow the story and progress skill-wise with the story before you can do more in the world.
I'm gonna challenge one thing. You can get into the academy. The keys. I mean, yeah, you have to fight a really hard dragon, or you can try to sneak past him and get it. You don't have to fight it. Terrell died. He was level 30. He got his butt kicked multiple times.
Yeah.
But you can get it, and then you can get into it. But you're gonna get your ass kicked. Like,
I've had areas.
I
for
said it's a
example.
skill issue. That's what it sounds like.
So you-
I've had areas, for
It doesn't-
example, where there's a giant monster with a bow and arrow. you cannot get past this guy. He will always from a distance one-shot you
I got
with the
past
arrow.
him.
You
Oh,
cannot
no,
get
you're talking about
past
that
him.
boat? Yeah, you can get
On a
back.
horse,
you-
you can.
You need to, you have
That's
to
a bunch
maneuver.
of-
You have to
Yeah,
maneuver.
but here's the thing, though. If you do that when you're low leveled and stuff, chances of you getting past this guy. And there's several of these enemies. Like in the beginning, I was at the swamp. Like I told Juice. All these creatures, you won't be able to fight a single of these creatures. They will one-shot you from a distance and that kind of stuff. It's fake progress.
That happens in Breath of the Wild too.
No, because
but in
Breath of the Wild
you have
scales.
small areas where you maybe have a lino, but the further you progress in the game, the stronger the lino, for example, gets.
To be
You can
fair,
avoid it. The
Elden
lino
Ring
is
is
in a
more
small
combat
area.
focused than
Elden Ring
Zelda,
doesn't scale. Like Breath of the Wild, you eventually hit blue bokoblins, black bokoblins, silver bokoblins. It
Yeah.
doesn't do that. The enemy,
But that's what I mean.
if you
It's
go
a
to the
fake
lakes area
world.
early,
But that
they're gonna
Right.
be. So let's say the girl I watched, that Alice who streamed the game, she's way better at the game than me. She beat the game, was level 120 in like 60 hours. It took me 140, 50 hours to get to that level. She would go into an area. She had a great shield, and she had a katana, and she was leveling up her dexterity and stamina or whatever. And she would go and she would just block with her shield and just meticulously wipe everybody out, get through the area. And I was like, oh, that area looks cool. I'd go there and just get murdered. And I was a higher level, so she obviously had a better strategy, a bit more skill. And but it's not, you're not
gated from going to places.
There's one area where there's an elevator.
But
So you're saying the negative is that the further into the game you go, the harder the enemies are, and you need to be higher level to face them? Is that what you're saying? You want to be able to go face...
So yesterday I was in an area that I found. I went through this underground. I came out. I was in this area where the sky is all red and shit. There's mushroom shit all over the ground.
Oh, you're in
There's
Caelid,
legs and stuff. You have these standard low-level enemies there. That are these mantis creatures. And
Yeah,
shit.
and they're hard as shit.
They require a
Hard as fuck.
fuck ton of work to kill. They're borderline mini bosses for me at where I am at.
Because you're
And
under
that's
level.
just that thing. No, but yeah, exactly.
It's an RPG.
Exactly.
Wait, you're
But
saying
it's an
that's a
RPG.
bad thing?
Yeah, but
That doesn't matter. That's
Is
what
it-
I mean. Games
what do you
like
mean
the
it doesn't
Elder Scrolls-
matter?
Because games like the Elder Scrolls and Xenoblade Chronicles X don't do that.
X has
They don't
level
have
80
lower
enemies
level
right
enemies.
outside New LA. Like,
Don't
That
you
is
like?
true.
Don't you like Darksiders 2?
Yeah,
Darksiders 2 has fucking enemies like that.
but
I ran into
Darksiders
one.
2 isn't a full open world game. It's a segmented. No, it's
Oh
not.
my
It's a
God.
segmented open world game.
But you can run into these fucking creatures early in the game. If you don't know where, you can just stumble upon them. It's the same thing.
Yes, but
Yeah.
the problem isn't that it has some bosses in there. I'm telling you, the lower level enemies are gonna be way out leveled for you.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
if you
Because
wanna
Caelad's
really
like-
explore, you're running.
Caelid
past
is
people.
hard. Just in
Caelad's one of the
general.
hardest areas in the game. You have to, like, really...
Yes, but that is my point.
But it's not gated.
So you want
can't
every
call that
area to be
gated.
easy,
No,
like
I'm
the
not
same...
calling that
Wait a
area
minute.
gated.
Xenoblade Chronicles X? What are you talking about?
When you
Yeah,
get
that's
to
what
Cauldros, all those are
Cauldros.
50, 60
Yeah.
flying
No, no,
enemies
no,
that
I
will
wanna put
one-shot
it in
you.
context.
And you did the same shit I did.
It's not even. It's
Still
not
ran
even
through
just.
that shit.
No. It's not even just. It's not even just X. It's every single Xenoblade game does.
Well,
it.
yeah,
Every Xenoblade game has a level 80, 70, 60 monster in like the
Yeah.
beginning area.
So you
Right.
want...
Yeah,
You
that's
can
because that's-
easily
I know.
just walk
That's
around.
an
You don't
open
need to
world.
worry
so
about
why is that?
But it-
Oh my god.
No. I'm
Because
pointing out X
Xenoblade
because
still
that's
has
an
the
open
lower
world. You can
level
go.
enemies.
You want... So what you're
Xenoblade
saying is
still
you
has
want
the lower
every...
level enemies.
You want every area in
Retrodeadism.
Elden Ring to be the same,
Absolutely.
to have
I'm-
low-level
what I'm
enemies.
saying, that's why I gave Breath of the Wild and the Elder Scrolls as an example. In both of those games, you can go anywhere in the world where you want from the beginning, create your story, and you can't do that in Elden Ring. That's the bottom line.
That's not the way.
That
but
is 100% true. You can't
the
deny
way
that.
you're because the way you're phrasing it sounds like a
That's just-
fucking.
that's
They're
just
two
my problem
different
with the
games,
game.
eh?
When people say it revolutionizes open
No one
world
said
games,
it revolutionized.
that's
Oh
the
my
one. I'm
God.
saying
I
it
definitely
can.
heard that though. Like I definitely heard people talking about
I'm
like the
saying
reviews
it
and stuff.
can't
People were
do
talking
it.
about like,
Revolutionize
this is the
open
next
world
step of
games
Breath of the Wild.
for the Souls
For
genre, maybe.
Souls games, not
Yeah, for
for
Souls,
all
yeah, but
open
that-
world
That's
games.
my whole point. That's my whole point.
Yeah,
They took the Souls formula and made it open world. You could
I think that's what people were touting.
see. You're saying you don't have a story. Your story is so different from my story when I played the game. Yours is so vastly different than my story. If I told my experience with that
I
game,
don't understand why
I'm
you.
given an open world game that revolutionizes open world, so I want to be able to go wherever I can, and
You
I can.
arguably can still. You can listen. If that's the argument you're making, is that it's not as open world as the other two games you mentioned, it's fine. Don't use the fucking enemy example as the reason why. Okay, the
That's one of
reasoning
the
should
reasons
be.
why.
No, it's not one of the reasons. Absolutely not.
the guy hasn't even
No,
faced
it's
the
not.
first boss
That's
yet.
not-
What you should have said, what you should have said is that there are certain areas that are gated until you get certain items that only are available in certain portions. If you,
That is the other point, yeah.
but why lead with the worst point? What the fuck?
Because both are combined
That's both.
together again.
It's like, bro, you were like, bro, I walked into this area on the left, and the damn enemies were hard. The game is not as open world as they say it
that's
is.
not what I said. I said like,
No
look, I'll
goddamn.
give you, look, if I walk around in
You
an
still
open
could go
world,
there.
I can go. If I can
You
go
can
wherever
still
I
go
want.
there, and you
No,
can
but
still
look.
go there though.
No, but listen.
On your
this is what
horse,
I'm
you
saying,
can get
okay?
there.
I'm seeing a castle. I want to go to this castle. So fine, it's an open world. I go all the way to this castle. I find a way to this castle. There's
Okay.
a force field around it. Great.
You
I
can
can't
find
go
a
there.
key if you
I have
talk.
to go around to another place. There's these fucking tanks and knights. I can't barely even attack them because
That's
they're
your
so
fault.
overpowered. I'm
Skill
not ready
issue.
for it. Fine,
Level
whatever.
up.
I go to a different area. Okay, fine. I'll go to that castle. Oh, there's another city here. Let's go to the city over there. Okay, there's all these wizards there. Oh, never mind. There's a force field in front of every single door. You can't go in any
That's
building.
because there's a
You can't
puzzle in
barely-
that city that you
It
have
is-
to
it is-
figure
it
out.
is a
Can't
puzzle in
even
the
put-
city. You do have to.
You have to light
Yeah, but-
candles. That's the whole point. It's a
I've
puzzle.
had 5 or 6 or 7 of those locations, and every time the enemies get stronger. And I'm not
can't-
talking about the bosses. I'm
The
talking
enemies
about
is not
small-
a good argument. Don't use the enemies as an argument because that's not
But that
stopping
is
you
an
from going.
argument.
But it's not stopping you
Because-
from going to the area. That's the problem.
Yeah,
with
you
the
can
argument.
go to the
It is
area.
stopping you from the
You're just gonna
area.
And then you
your
get your
ass
butt
kicked.
kicked.
If you want to use the force
Yes.
field thing, fine. That's a stronger argument. Literally and physically, it's a stronger argument. But saying that, oh shit, the enemy's hard, that's not a justifiable reason why because you can still go there.
But it
you can
is,
still lose.
because
That's
the
in-
game
That's in
should- an
every
open
open
world
world
game-
game, bro.
An open world game should skill that. Games like
Why
It
Elden
doesn't
Ring-
scale. It's not a game that
Because
scales the enemies.
But it doesn't scale enemy
me-
levels.
But
Elder
that's what I'm
Scrolls?
saying. It should be.
Skyrim
It's
an
scales
open
designed
world
to
game.
not scale.
You have the Elder Scrolls since Morrowind already, and I've never played games before, but Morrowind, Skyrim, Breath of the Wild, games like Borderlands. Every one of these games that are so open, they scale the world. You can go wherever you want, and the enemies are scaled to you. And Elden Ring doesn't scale
Yeah,
lower
because
level
they didn't
enemies.
want it
That's
to be
literally but it's Elden Ring is based off
Look
the
at
Souls formula,
Sandstorm.
and the
I don't-
Souls formula is literally known for not doing
There's
that.
no
kind of
enemy
shit.
scaling in
I don't
Souls
know.
games.
It's
I
more,
don't
it's more,
know
you're also picking the more
anything-
RPG of those titles. The fuck?
You can
I-
put
look,
the wall.
look,
You
look.
can put the.
I don't
Let
know
Sandstorm.
anything about Elden Ring at all, but from listening to it and comparing it to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, there are literally areas where you can technically get to, but the enemies will not let you get to because
If you
they're
get
so
him in
hard
one
to
fight,
block.
you're dead.
They'll murk you.
Xenoblade
Yeah.
was a bad example in this line.
Oh, no.
But that's an
Bad
open
example.
world game, though.
Man, a dick, yo. Why
so
you
here-
do this?
Let me do this, and then we'll end this. The force field at the academy. You find a key you can get in. There's nothing stopping you story related wise. There's nothing story related. And you can actually find another key, but it gives you a hint to one. There's a dead guy, and you pick up an item. And I said you go to your inventory, you find that letter. There's a map that shows you where the key is. That key, there's a really hard dragon, but you don't have to fight him. You can sneak past. You can get past him, get the key, and run away on your horse, and you can open. So it's not story related. The one in that town, it's a puzzle. You have to light torches at the top of these towers, and it unlocks all the locked doors disappear. It's just it's a puzzle for that
So
little
if you
area.
do-
So therefore, your weapons or your
It has nothing to do with
skill set or your-
story.
is not stopping you.
What it sounds
The
like.
story's not stopping you from
What
going.
it sounds like the struggles you went through was because either A, you were under level or you didn't read. That was literally it.
So yeah, the game is
That's
like
crazy.
this is
That's
how
fucking
this game's
crazy, yo.
designed for the future, just for when you play it. Yes, the only thing I said it was like Breath of the Wild was because I went south. I went to Castle Morn. I did all that. Terrell, he went to Stormville, like one of the first places, like within your first few hours. I I went there, but I went all down south, did the whole area, found a bunch of cool stuff, had a bunch of weapons and armor. That was a different. My story was different. Your story was different. Within 10 hours, you were at the academy. I probably got there at like 50 hours in the game. So our stories are different. But the game, there's no. If you get to Khaled, that's like the third hardest. Or you start the main area, Limgrave. That has the easiest enemies, quote unquote. But you can still die. Any enemy can kill you. Any group of 3 enemies, don't matter if you're level 120 or 20, can kill you. That's the whole point of the Souls games. So you go to the second area, those enemies are harder. You go to Khaled, those enemies are harder. You go to the capital, now they're harder again. That's each zone or area has progressively harder enemies, and then you get to the last area and they're ridiculously hard. That's the structure of the game. So just moving forward, so you know that's how it works. There's no scaling. When you're 120, you can go back to Limgrave and just murder all those basic enemies, all those knights. You can one-shot them and destroy them. They can't hardly kill you, and that's the point of the game.
Let's get the hell out of
anyway,
here.
it's been another.
I hate it all.
We can't not have a
it all.
debate with when Retro's here, but it's good discussion.
You should have did that at like 8:30.
And we gotta get. Damn, it's 9:30. All right, we're getting out of here.
Yeah, you should have did that at 8:30.
Sorry, guys. We'll see you next week.
Jesus fucking Christ.
What happened?
This happens every week.